Okay, and we're hot. Okay, hey everyone. This is Main Prince. We're here with the Main Prince NFLPA bar exam prep course. This is week 9. We're going to go over the week 9 quiz and quiz/exam part 1 questions that we had for today. Okay, so let me go to the screen and pop this up. Obviously, there was a lot going on with this quiz, so hopefully we'll be able to get through this relatively simple enough to go over all these questions and whatnot. So let's go present. There it is. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay, can you guys see my screen there now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, so first of all, the main things that was going on with today's quiz / exam. I know it's I should call it quiz exam, but same thing. Today there's about 40 questions. You had about 3 minutes to answer. Some of them questions were hopefully layups. They were to make you, I guess, thought provoking, and make you research and search if you had to, so you know where things are. Again, all of the stuff came from what we've been over for the last 8 weeks, as well as all the readings and some of the source documents. What I included or re-included or edited one of the questions. I know, Tony, we gave you credit for it, but one of the questions for the 2020 draft signals, they had them adjust that for 2023. Then I attached the draft signals. All of you should have draft. Do you have the 2023 draft signals?
Yeah, I received it.
Yes, you attached it.
Okay.
Yeah,
did you guys have it from before?
Damn.
Did you guys have that attached from before?
Nah, I haven't. This was the first time I saw it. I had the 2022, but not the 2023.
Okay. So did they give you, which one did they give you in the source
They
document?
gave us just one sheet.
And which one was that for?
It is. I'm pulling it up right now. It is. They don't have any names on it either. All it has is picks 15 through 27 of round 6. No names.
Okay.
Yeah, no name. Just has the RP dollars, all that. So I'm sure it's going to be it's probably going to be a base type question. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, kind of what I was saying last time is that it sounds like that may be one of the things that they send out to you probably a week or two before as well, before the exam, or they may just give it to you at the exam. Typically, there's one and multiple questions that pertain to the draftee signals. The primary one is that you know what the columns labels are. That's one thing. And then the secondary thing is for you to know what those calculated numbers are for the P5, for I guess it would be 23, 4, 5, and 6, and 7 for the first round picks. And then also if there's a full split or if there's no split, and if there's credited seasons applied to each one of those players. Like typically between those 3rd through 7th round guys, a lot of those guys are going to be heavy in getting the full splits and credited season language. And so I attached also the credited season language and good language and bad language. You guys see that that material in the materials list?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you guys receive that already?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so in contracts and for the exam as well, they'll talk about what's good language, what's bad language. Okay, obviously, good language is you want no split, so that your client is only on the up amount. But if there's a down amount, so again, from what page, Johnny, for Article 26?
171.
171. So, so that was Johnny's claim to fame 8 weeks ago. It was, hey, that you got to know that page number. So that up amount is the upper part of that table, and then the down amount is the bottom amount. The bottom amount is when a guy is inactive and or injured. Okay, so it's inactive and or injured. They're on the injured reserve list or the PUP list, the physically unable to perform. The reason why those are important is because, as you see even from some of these questions that were on this week's quiz exam, was based on knowing that down amount. Okay, so always remember the purpose of having an up and a down amount is if a guy is fully able to play, then he's going to get his up amount at all times. If he gets elevated from the practice squad, he's going to get the up amount unless he gets injured, which we'll go over that question that was on for this week as well for somebody that was actually injured. Okay, so let me open mine up a little bit so I can see it because my eyes are getting bad. Okay. Actually, I need to go into presenter's view. There it is. Okay, so from presenter's view. Okay, first question. What is the maximum discipline an NFL club can assess against a player for conduct detrimental to the club? A, 14,650, B, 50,000, C, a fine of 4 weeks pay and suspension of 1 game, 1 week without pay, or D, a fine of 1 week pay and suspension for 4 weeks without pay.
D.
What do you guys think? D.
D is in dog.
Yeah, D is in danger. D is
Good.
in
Okay,
dog.
good. All right, very good.
You're
Yeah.
an animal. Yeah.
A fine of 1 week's pay and suspension of 4 weeks without pay. So again, make sure that you are using, hopefully you guys are using tabs or somehow that you're tabbing your CBA so that you can, for club discipline and commissioner's discipline, and you know where those penalties are. That is the one of the biggest things, and I guess not say hurdles, but one of the biggest things that the NFLPA wants to make sure of more than anything is that either A, you're scared of penalties and you know what they are, and B, so you know where they are if and when it happens with one of your clients in real time so that you can address it immediately after a game. And if things happen like during the weekend, which is really when those things happen. So knowing where those club disciplines, that table is, that's what the one that you're going to use the most, okay? Number 2, player with, we got 40 of these, player with 3 credited seasons, placed on waivers following the 3rd game of the 2021 regular season. What is the earliest a club may sign a player to a new contract? Okay, I know it doesn't read like that, but I'm emphasizing some of those key words in there. But again, as you know, a player with 3 credited seasons, what does that mean?
He's a restricted free agent.
Okay, and then the question, okay, we know the first part. We know what year. The question is, what is the earliest a club may sign a player to a new contract? Okay, A, immediately. B, once player clears waivers. C, the Monday following the next regular season game. Or D, at the end of the regular season.
B.
Once player clears waivers.
Once a player clears waivers. Anybody else?
I'm going with B as well.
So good. So B, once a player clears waivers. So what happens when a guy gets released or is about to get released obviously general managers, this is sidebar stuff. General manager or one of them try to get him traded if they can get any value for him. That's one thing. If they know that they can't, then they have to place him on waivers. Now, they can also recoup him from waivers as well. If they just restarts his new contract and then they start all over. However, the director of pro scouting and pro personnel, their job is to monitor that waiver system, and they get about 24 hours before somebody else might pick him up. So somebody else can pick him up within that 24 hours, but if he expires that 24 hours, well, then then it's a free for all. But it gives the other 31 other teams an opportunity to get that same player. So a player has to clear waivers first before he can sign a new contract.
Where will we find this in the CBA?
So it's under the waiver system. It was in the reading for what article is this? It is the article. I'm trying to find it here. Discipline, grievance, and the lists that we had. Looking at these tabs. Okay, trying to see here. Article. Somebody else sees it before me. Oh, there it is. Article 29.
Okay.
So Article 29 is when we talked about the waivers. Okay, remember accredited season is obviously in that 4 years. This also starts, it's on page 187. I know in my book it's on page 187. A couple of things that were highlighted, and it's only 2 pages, but one of the things that's highlighted on here, it says if such a player does not have a no trade clause and the player contract being awarded through waivers covers more than one additional season, the player shall have the right to declare himself an unrestricted free agent, as set forth above by the end of the league year following the league year in which he was waived and or awarded. So some things that you can put asterisk or star by is obviously not obvious, but in the top, that section 1 talks about being released. It said Tuesday they can be, and then again, they can write this in your notes. They can be released Tuesday after week 8. Okay, Tuesday after week 8.
So that's the trade deadline, right?
Yes. Okay, and this is only for whenever a player has finished the season, which is his 4th year of credited service has been earned under obviously the Burt Bell Pete Rozelle plan, and that's just in Article 29. And again, make sure that you are using that article check sheet that I gave you to mark off things that you reviewed, things that you know of, and again, reviewing it and knowing it are definitely 2 different things. But make sure you know where that stuff is, and you can easily access it from your CBA. Hopefully, if you have it in a notebook and you're able to flip through those pages, and you can find that pretty easily. Okay. All right, number 3. This bigger. Go back. Okay, a 2021 rookie player on the club's practice squad gets elevated for his club's 2nd game of the season. During the game, suffers an injury that prevents him from playing or practicing the next 6 weeks. How much? Go back. Stop. How much? Get off of there. How much? What are you doing? Go back. Where are you? There we go. Why this is acting a fool on here. Let me move it this way. There we go. There. Can I see that? Hey, these guys are killing me here. There. Yeah. How much must the club pay the player for the period of time that the player remains physically unable to perform football services? Is it A, $0, B, 55,200, C, 138, 333, or D, 220,000?
D as in David, 220,000.
Okay, anybody else have a calculated guess? So this is one that I definitely want to make sure I can remind you guys about these layups here. Okay, it's not about, again, it's not about tricking you. It's about you knowing what the P5 salaries are and what the P4 salaries are. Okay, this question specifically is talking about the period of time that that player is unable to perform. Now, during week one, I believe week one of the practice squad for that year, 2021, was $9,200. $9,200 was the weekly P4 salary for practice squad players. However, if you added that, then you're not paying attention to the actual question. The question was for the time during the time that he's injured. Now, when a player gets elevated, they now get the up amount of their salary unless they get injured. And if you get injured, which part of the table do you get?
The down.
The down amount. So
Yeah.
the down amount is, you got to look for the year for that too. So for 2021, that year was 415,000, I believe, for the down amount. Then you divide that by 18 weeks, and then you calculate that divide. Now you got to use those cents in it for the most part. Use the cents in it. So if you have your calculator, don't round up at that time. Just do 415 divided by 18 times 6 weeks, and that will give you the 138.33.
Yep.
You guys see that?
I missed that layup.
Now, yeah, and again, it's not so much about being tricky, but it is tricky. It's like one of those kind of is that and the other. You got to make sure if you see anything that has injury, IR, pup list, make sure you automatically go down to, now again, this is only the basics, unless in the fact pattern it talks about the draftee signals of a specific player. You look at that players and it says there's no split language, then it's automatically the up amount. You understand? So unless it tells you, you just use the up and the down amount. Okay, Johnny, go ahead.
I mean, what page is it? This practice squad, the graph sheet is on?
Yeah, it's 133 is for practice squad. Is for Article 33. That's at 133.
196.
Article 33, but 196, and then this is in Section 5, Section K, subsection K, and it's on page 198. Well, it's on the again. I don't know which page you guys have because yours are different than mine, but because my 197 shows the Section 3 salary. And then there's two tables for the salary, A and B. A is for the rookies and B is for the veterans. Tony, go ahead, man.
I don't want to confuse anybody, but why wouldn't the answer be 174,000?
No. So remember, when you get injured, once you get elevated, you get the P5 salary. Okay,
which is the first game, which would be a P5 of 36,000, and then 6 weeks of the down amount. So wouldn't it be 6 weeks plus the P5 of the up amount?
No. Well, he got injured. Now the injury happened after he got so he got elevated second week. Okay, that's the second game.
You just want PUP.
They're not asking about the second game because that's when he got injured. So from games 3 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, that's when he was injured. So those 6 weeks.
You just want responsibility for the PUP. Perfect. Okay.
You did get what I'm saying? So
Yes,
everybody got that?
No, where did you get the 415,000 from?
So
That's the down amount on the salary table for the up amount.
Oh, I thought we were on page 196.
No. So see, what happens is you have to go back and forth. So first, you got to know what the salary is, right? So the weekly salary, which is you said on page 171, well, mine is 172. Right. So go to the credited season, which is 0 because it said he's a rookie. 2021. That's the up amount. Now we're talking about the question was how much is he getting paid during the time that he's injured, which is those 6 weeks. So now you look at the down amount for 0 credited seasons for year 2021, and it says 415,000. Then you divide that.
Oh, okay.
I
got it. Okay. I didn't read this correctly.
Ooh.
And I didn't read this correctly, and I'm thinking the whole time he's on the practice squad pay, and he's not because I didn't read it correctly.
Exactly. So again, that's how I was telling you guys from before. Make sure after you read the fact pattern, read the whole question, then read and make sure this is your exam. The only thing that's different is you don't have paper, so you can't underline it. But if you have your scratch paper, man, scratch that stuff down. Like, it's going to make it easier and faster for you to remember and be active while you're reading. I don't know if you guys have done that in college, but be active while you're reading so you can take note of those things. So as soon as you see the word injury, so now you know, okay, well, injury, write that word down. And then hopefully in your mind, you're mnemonically thinking, okay, injury, so this is a down amount, unless it tells you otherwise. Okay. And then you go through your progressions for the question from there. Now you see, this is a kind of a short, 3-line question. However, there's a lot going on in it.
Yeah, so it's a lot going on, and because I didn't, and this is one of the things where you have to read the entire thing. Yeah, and that threw me off. I'm over. Yeah, I got it.
And again, for sure, test prep day things. Just make sure you get plenty of sleep. You guys are going to be prepared. Don't over prepare yourself to a point that you're giving yourself anxiety the night before, and you do it all the way up to 3, 4 in the morning, and then try to take AKA a nap. Just get a good night's sleep. Don't overdo yourself. Just make sure your things are organized over the next 2 weeks. Make sure you're going through your checklist. And then again, make sure you're actively reading those questions. Daryl, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so my question was, I thought it's only the down amount when there's language of a split.
So the language of a split or if he gets injured basically in a non-given question, you're going to assume for the most part that there's a full split, unless the question tells you that it's not a full split.
And okay. Daryl, think about it, right? This guy was a practice squad player, so he was probably undrafted, right? Or he's a exclusive rights. So right. Which means that, he doesn't have that privilege. So he's got that bad language probably in his contract for that practice squad, for the elevation, for that down amount.
Makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, but again, unless the question tells you about that, always assume that it's a full split.
Okay.
And I'm pretty much, and I'm not going to say guarantee, but I'm pretty sure you're going to get this type of specific question. Now the years may change, but you're definitely going to get one of these type questions on the exam.
Hint.
Again, and I'm definitely not withholding anything. Whatever they give me and they say, hey, well, this is what you're going to be working with, man, I'm going to give that to you guys. I promise you, I'm not holding them back. But we've talked about this in exam prep committees and stuff, and they keep bringing this up about this type of question. Okay,
That's
and again,
that's an alley-oop.
Yeah, Yeah, right. It's alley-oop, but hey, just like you see on TV, I mean, Jason Tatum will catch them all, but when they go up, you got to go up and get it first. So, you know what I'm saying? So make sure you understand what they're saying and read all the way through the question. Okay. Okay. All right. Next one. Oh my God, this thing, it gets even worse. Let me see if I can open. It's not gonna help. Okay. Hold on first. Let me catch it this way. Okay. So, nope. Here we go. Players under number 5. Players under contract to NFL club for 2021 and 2022. Player suffers a career-ending knee surgery during the game. Okay, make that a little bit smaller. During the game in 2021, player is treated and placed on reserve injured list for for the remainder of the 2021 NFL season. During the offseason, he performs rehabilitation at the direction of the club trainer. Okay, things to keep in mind. On May 15, 2022, the club physician passes the player on the preseason physical examination and the club terminates his NFL player contract. Player believes he remains unable to play. What is the first thing player should do to protect his right of injury protection benefit? A, undergo surgery during the offseason. B, continue to perform reasonable and customary rehabilitation during the remainder of the season. C, get examined by a physician of his choice within 14 days of his contract termination. Or D, file an injury grievance within 25 days of his termination.
D.
D, as in David.
Yes, D is in David. File an injury grievance within 25 days of his contract termination. Make sure, I know I've said this and hopefully you have it in your notes, but make sure when you're looking at the injury protection benefit that you're making a note in the margins that 25 days, because that definitely is going to come up on the exam. And you want to be able to, if you remember it, that's one thing. These type of things you can easily flip back and forth to, but make sure you have that starred in your notes or whatnot, okay, about that, because that definitely is something that keeps coming up. Okay. All right, number 6. Which of the following statements is true with regard to the NFLPA group licensing assignment (GLA)? A, the GLA grants the NFLPA exclusive rights for programs involving 5 or more NFL players. The GLA, or B, the GLA precludes players from entering into individual endorsement agreements. Or C, the GLA grants the NFLPA non-exclusive rights for programs involving 6 or more NFL players. Or D, the GLA permits a player to license his rights to companies utilizing less than 6 NFL players.
I got B as in boy. Because the other ones, none of them seem right based on the wording and the verbiage.
Anybody else?
I said D.
D for Daryl. What you think, Daryl? Daryl still with us?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on mute. Sorry. D.
D. Okay. And Johnny, what you got, Johnny? What's the last consensus say?
For this one, I believe I put C.
Okay, good. So we got B, C, and D. Okay, so the answer is D, as in David. The GLA permits a player to license his rights to companies utilizing less than 6 NFL players. So remember the question is which of the following is true with regards to the NFLPA GLA? This is less than 6 players. The other ones, as Reggie was talking about earlier, who picked B, that precludes players from entering into exclusive individual endorsement. That's not what the GLA does. Doesn't prevent them or preclude them before they do that. This is, again, we're talking about using less than 6 players. That's part of what the group licensing is for. Now, if it was more than that, then the NFLPA or the Players Inc., then they would actually issue them something for group licensing. But this is asking about which of these statements is true. All right, go ahead, Tony.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but Rolex could endorse one player from each team because they're not the advertisement of the exclusive rights.
Okay.
Is that appropriate, or is that?
I thought you were adding on to it, but yes, I thought you were gonna add more to it. Like, so if Rolex got the 6 guys, then they need to get a GLA assigned to them.
So they can't endorse one player from every team?
No, not without getting that group licensing assignment.
Okay,
they can do that. Yeah, it's not about one team. It's NFL players, period.
Cumulative.
You understand?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cumulative. Well, cumulative, it just period. Any of them. There's 32 teams. They can only get if they did 4 teams or 5 teams of one player, then they totally could do that. But once they get to 6, then they're gonna need to get a group licensing assignment.
So if Rolex endorsed one player from the Chiefs, one player from the Packers, all the way through all 32 teams, that would violate the GLA because it's more than 6.
Right. And they would have to go through. Well, that's Dexter Santos, which you'll see him in the seminar, and he'll go over that same thing.
Okay.
So absolutely.
Okay.
So help me out. I know why A and C is wrong. I was tossed up between the B and D, and the only reason I did it less than 6 threw me off. So that's why I went with B versus D. But why is B? Because I literally read that sentence in the GLA and highlighted it.
So again, what is the best one of those answers? Best.
That's possible because of the description of the 6 games. Yeah.
You understand? 6 players. So best.
Sorry, 6 players. I'm thinking 3 just
exactly. So again, I know you see that. I see that in the GLA for sure. But again, one of the questions, and how are you gonna, whatever your toss up is, from which one of these is the best answer, because it could be either this one or that one. Just make sure if you need to, make a note of that or put a question by, answer it, and then make that one of the type of ones you come back to that you can go back and look at your notes, because you'll see both of those answers in there. But again, which one of those statements is more true with regards to the NFLPA group licensing assignment?
So now let me ask you this. Just on the exam, it's the same answer, but it just says the GLA permits a player to license his rights to companies utilizing more than 6. Then that would make it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the answer would have to be B, because the other 2 are okay.
This one's not a layup. It's more of a toilet bowl.
I was just going to say, this is one of those things that, like, it sounds good, yeah, but that something about Michael Jackson's curls. They ain't curling all the way around. That's right. So yeah, you got to make sure you look at those words. And I know I hate to say that about everyone, but it really is sometimes those key one little words in a sentence. But like you did, try to rule out the 2 ridiculous ones, and then come down to the last one that you want to go with.
Gotcha. All right. Okay.
All right. Again, here goes. This hopefully is a good one. No, why go back? There you go. Okay. Player number 7. Player graduated high school June 19th, but did not enter college until September 21. After 1 year of college football, player states he wants to play in the NFL. When is the earliest that player can be eligible for the NFL draft? Either A, 2022, B, 2023, C, 2024, or D, 2025.
A as in apple, 2022.
Anybody else?
Yep. 3 years after his graduating class.
Hey, baby.
So, wait, somebody said 3 years after his graduating class?
No. After 3 seasons have passed.
I mean, 3
from
seasons after his, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So again, you want to make sure again that you're doing this with me, so it's great, but you want to make sure you remember it's by the season. So a fall has to start and end.
Yep.
Okay, so keep that in mind because they mess around and tell you something about well, he stopped in October, stuff like that. But make sure you remember the football season has to start and end. Okay, Tony, go ahead.
And so for that, that's just September to December, or does that go to the Super Bowl?
Well, it goes to the Super Bowl. So September until February.
Okay.
Great question. Yeah, the season is from September until February. Okay, so it's not just regular season, so it includes the postseason too. Go ahead, Tom.
I got one more too. I don't know why, but for the SRA, when our agreements expire, like with the player, and we have to renew that.
Yeah.
What is that date? Is that October 1st, or what is that date for our SRA for the 60-day for the expiration?
So 60 days is from the end of the league year.
Oh, so it's from March.
Right. So end of the league year is in March. So going backwards 60 days from there, it's like the middle of January, something like that.
Okay. So then before that 60-day window, we have to be,
leave them alone.
very nice, leave everybody alone, don't talk to nobody. But once that 60 days hits, though, 59, we can be chatty Cathy.
For 2 other players if you want. Now your client, you just should definitely be with him contact him all the time anyway. Like for the most part, and again, I know this is recorded, but it is what it is. We're trying to teach folks. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you talk to your player. You definitely want to do that. It only matters if you want to get Reggie's son after Reggie signs him. So
getting messy, man.
So if you went to Reggie's son's picnic, that he had, and y'all were friends, and y'all talked everything at the picnic, and then it's coming down on his 4th year, and there's a contest about to expire. Be like, hey, what's up, Reggie Jr., man? I'm gonna say what's up with you, man. I'm about to be in your town. You want to hook up? And then he was like, oh yeah, I got you, man. And he don't tell his dad. And he be like, so man, you gonna stay with your pop? You're like, well, what you mean? Yeah, man, I think I can get you $20 million more. Oh, for real? And now y'all having a conversation. You dig what I'm saying? And that's how easy. I'm giving you a real case scenario, actually. I ain't just picking on Reggie. I was just saying, in general, that's how easy it is during that 60-day period if you wanted to do that. So same thing at that 60-day period. If you send out a mailing to other clients that like if you keep a track of stuff like that, and you send that, but that mailing has to be postmarked in that 60-day window. You can't send it.
If I mail though, outside that 60-day window, and like I specifically say, hey, come with me because I can make you more money. That's violation, right?
Yeah. You're gonna get hit with tampering. Yeah, you definitely gonna get hit.
Perfect. I just want to make sure I understand that, right? Perfect.
Yeah, and if you guys remember this past off season, that's kind of what happened with Saquon Barkley and 2 other guys. And DeAndre Swift. They were like, wait. When did you talk to these guys? Because you know what I'm saying, you only have a minute window that you can talk to these cats. So, but they were found that they were within that window. It wasn't directly by them that someone conversated with them. Because especially a lot of these guys, they be going to the Pro Bowl. And then they, what I'm saying, and they be talking to each other during the Pro Bowl. And be like, hey man, what's up, man? Yeah. Especially if they train together. Man, so you staying with your team? I said, what you mean? Said, we might have an opening. Oh, for real? And then guys be looking into it. You dig what I'm saying? So just make sure you keep in contact with your client and make sure you're talking to them and just about anything and everything so they can be free to talk with you about stuff. Go ahead, Tony.
I'm sorry too. Last one. I just wanted to follow up. So for example, say like Daryl, I'm sorry, I don't know you enough yet. I can't wait to know you more. But say like I refer a guy to Johnny or to Reggie, right? So like to Reggie to like buy a house in Atlanta, or to Johnny to do an NIL deal because I know Johnny succeeds in that. I don't. And they start talking. So say with Reggie, they start talking about the SRA, and they start talking with Johnny about the SRA. Are they in violation? Do I put them in jeopardy because it's my client?
No. Well, he wouldn't be your client if you're. Are you saying he already is your SRA client?
So I was referring, for example, to RJ for like to buy a house, right? But he's a client of mine. And all of a sudden they start, shooting the shit like, hey, how do you know Tony? Well, I did a class with him. That's how we became agents. And all of a sudden now he identifies RJ as an agent. Does that get him disciplined because we're all friends?
No, not at all. Not at all. As long as there's
I'll do a disservice. That's all. Sorry.
So basically what would happen is there's co-mingling. You're talking about co-mingling. As long as what's happening is they are not, AKA, trying to poach your client like from you.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And again, just like your SRAs, when you guys get to the point when you're agents and you sign clients, what happens is when you send that submission in, then NFLPA, the committee, they start making their phone calls, and eventually they may call your client and say, hey, I know you just signed with Reggie. How did you guys meet? And like, we met such and such. Oh, okay. Did he entice you with anything? Did he promise you anything before you signed? And you're like, well, he did say he would give me $1 million endorsement deal. I'm like, oh, okay. Now, if in your SRA submission, if you did not submit your general marketing agreement that had the $1 million marketing agreement on there, if you don't submit that, or if you don't have that, then you're going to be in trouble. But you definitely need to add that in there if you do that with the client. And he said, oh, well, he's going to get me $1 million marketing agreement.
Got it.
Okay. All right.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So in April 2021, player who is subject to testing under the NFL policy and program on substance of abuse policy receives a phone call at 5:30 a.m. from the drug program collector, who leaves a voice message on player's cell phone telling the player, I am at your house to test you now at 7 a.m. Player wakes up and checks voicemail at 7:30. Player returns the call to the collector, who then tells the player that I called you earlier to tell you that I'm here to test you. Under the policy, what is the deadline by which player must produce a specimen? So either A, 8:30, B, 9:30, C, 10:30, or D, 11:30.
B as in boy. 4 hours from the initial contact.
This is an absolute floater.
During the off season.
Right.
Yes,
Yep. You got to remember that too. You got to remember when that season is. Anybody else?
B.
I got B as well.
B.
Okay. Good. B, 9:30. Okay. Just like you said, you got to remember when the season is, you got to remember which policy it is. Remember, one is performance enhancing, and the other one is about drugs and substance of abuse and alcohol. Okay, so make sure you know those two distinctions of when that is and when the season ends. Okay, so because those time frames definitely differ. Okay. Okay, next one. Player is
I
injured.
have a quick question.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Real
go
quick. The high I forgot. So the high school question, I can't remember. I think that was number 7.
Mhm.
That's A 2022, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The season has
that's
to
it.
start and end.
Got
Oh,
it.
so it was a 2022. Yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing, Johnny.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry. A 2022.
So that's because the 2019 full season,
No,
2024.
that's when it started. So 2019, that's when he graduated. So the football season started in September. So that starts. And
Yeah,
then,
just September of 2019.
yep, there you go.
So September 2019 is year 1. Year 2 is September of 2020,
Yep.
and then September 2021, and then the following would be 22.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
And remember, the draft is, and it's in the modern era. Even though there's a 3-month gap for the draft, ours is typically in April. Even though it could be from February until May, but it's typically done in April.
And that's the thing, Johnny. And that's the one thing I think we all probably messed up on last year, man. Like I'm reading this question and now I'm making these mental notes. If it said like RJ graduated in December, he didn't graduate in May with the regular class. So this said player graduated high school December of 2019.
Right.
Now
I remember that.
you know what I mean? Like so, it's
Yep.
all these trick questions. We know the information,
Right.
it's just we got to make sure we hone in on those dates, and it's just so frustrating, man.
Yeah.
Keywords,
And,
date.
and again, even if your kid graduates in December, again, make that mental note that, okay, but the question is asking about when is he eligible as a high school kid. So eligibility is when his graduating class would graduate. So it ain't about him, it's about his class. So his class would normally graduate in June. So even though he graduated in December, you got to start that countdown from June.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay.
And then that September is when football starts. Go ahead, Tony. You got a question?
Yeah. So if this said like which RJ and Johnny were saying, if the player graduates, so say it says John Doe graduates high school June 2019, but the graduating class commences in May.
Then that would be what?
It'd be May because May is the commissioner. It supersedes the club, which would be the kid.
Well, it would be, and again, it would be that following. Well, it'd be the spring. So even though it would be December of 2019,
the class supersedes, right?
Right.
Okay.
It's always about his general graduating class.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind. So anytime you see this question, no matter what they say about whatever year it is, look at that month, year, and so his graduating class would be here. And even if he took a gap year or 2 years as a gap year, then he graduated already.
So they said his graduating class was 2020. It'd be 2023.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. And again, it sounds like a layup until you actually really get it. If you miss one little thing, just like the same thing in that practice squad question for being elevated, which I'm sure there is a question about that on the exam too, and that's without the injury. They're going to say, what was his salary cap number? If he was on the practice squad for the first 3 weeks, he got elevated in week 4. And then he went back to the practice squad in week 5, 6, and 7. Then he was elevated in week 8. And then he went back to the practice squad in 9 and 10. And then he was elevated in week 13. What's his salary cap number? So now you got to divide that by 18. You got to make sure you write down his practice squad's salary based on that credited season, or if he's on that up or that down if he's a veteran. But it's typically going to be for the rookies. So whatever he's on, whatever his weekly salary is, then you're going to do that $795 divided by 18 and multiply how many rest of the weeks of the season. And remember, bye weeks are included. So don't skip out on a bye week. Just because it's a bye week, it says bye week, just remember that's part of that. That's part of your payment during that week. Okay, based on where you were the week before. I should make sure I say that, because if you were on the practice squad the week before, then your bye week is going to be that bye week pay of the practice squad. If you were on the active roster the week before the bye week, you're going to get the active roster, that P5 salary. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Everybody got that? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Maine.
Yeah, sir. Who's that, Daryl?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So in regards to the specimen collection, we know that for the substance of abuse is 4 hours.
Mhm.
What was it for the PES?
24.
24, right?
Yes, 24 hours to produce a specimen, that is.
Yep. Okay.
All right. And remember, that was, I'm not sure which week that was, but you guys have, I mean, you have access to all the slides too. The slides are in the video recordings. So you can always, A, you can always print those, or B, review those in your notes and everything too. And I guarantee you for sure during the seminar, they're going to go over that too, because it is that important. Remember, the seminar is basically a highlights of everything that's going to be on the test. And it's only 3 days, 2.5 days. So they can only put so much, but definitely those things are going to be on there. Everything else, you got to know anyway, but for sure, remember that stuff there too. Okay. All right. So number 9, players injured in club's final preseason game. Oh, wait, we just went over this one, didn't we?
No.
No, that was the other one before that. Okay.
Yeah, skip that one.
Yeah. Players injured in club's final preseason game. Club position tells a player that he is fine. This happens all the time. And that he will be ready to play next week. The next day, club's general manager informs the player that the club plans to waive the player that day. Player's contract advisor informs the GM that the player believes he is injured, unable to play, and needs further medical attention. The GM insists there is no time for a second medical opinion and offers an injury settlement equal to 2 regular season game checks. After consulting with NFLPA, what should the contract advisor's advice be to the player? Okay, either A, prior to considering injury settlement, the player should consult with the club physician in advance to request a second medical opinion and furnish club physician with a copy of the second medical opinion physician's report. Or B, the player should accept an injury settlement of not less than 50% of his regular season salary and should thereafter seek a second medical opinion. Or C, players should accept injury settlement as club's physician's opinion is final and binding for all preseason injuries. Or B, prior to considering the injury settlement, player may seek a medical opinion provided he consults the club physician in advance and provided the player pays all costs and expenses of the second medical opinion.
Absolutely A.
Absolutely. I'm going to let you throw that around. Okay. So always, again, no, it's one of the things that's maybe hard to remember because there's a lot of verbiage, but just think about you as an agent, think about your client, thinking about him getting injured, and what would you want to make sure you tell him to do? Okay. A, prior to considering an injury settlement, players should consult with the club physician in advance to request a second medical opinion. And remember that, and should have made that bigger and bolder. They also have to furnish a club physician with a copy of the second medical opinion physician's report. If again, this is for the exam for sure. That's the answer. But in real life, you make sure that you get that information to the club physician, because if the club physician, because again, sometimes NFL players, again, they do have a lot of preference. But if that preference doesn't get you an early morning appointment and you get a night appointment, say like 7, 8 o'clock at night, and you get that done, and then you're done by 9 o'clock, hey, make sure you get that report submitted to the club physician. Don't skip out on it. Don't forget it. Make sure you make, I mean, we got smartphones. Make sure you make a note to yourself. Get a copy of that report before you leave, and or make sure he emails it to you, and make sure you make a note. If you haven't received that email by the end of the next day, make sure you call him and get it back, because you don't want to forget that at all, because that does happen too. And then again, guys don't get paid, and also you don't get paid. Okay. Number 10, rookie player sustains an injury in 2021 training camp. Player and club agreed to an injury settlement for the first 10 weeks. For the first 10 weeks of the regular season, and the club pays him his P5 split salary of $23,055 per week. Player subsequently files a workers' compensation claim if the state's weekly rates specified under the workers' compensation law in question is $500. What is the maximum credit of offset that may receive against the player's workers' compensation ability? Either A, $34,585, B, $7,500, C, $5,000, or D, 0.
I got B as in boy, 7,500.
Okay, anybody else?
I need you to teach me on this one.
Okay.
Because the offset 1.5.
Okay, well, anybody else? Okay, so the answer is actually C, 5,000. Now, where this comes from is in your Article 41. Okay, it's part of that workers' compensation claim. Article 41, and then it's over Section 4, subsection A.
What page?
244, 245, one of the two, whatever you guys have. I want to say 245 is in my book, so that might be 244 in yours. But that's what it is. So if you look at Section 4 and it's subsection A, you can look at the calculated amounts on there and how you do the calculations. You guys see that?
Workman comps. You said section 4. I said I and Roman numeral I too. So you said A.
Yeah. So Section 4. It's Section 4.2, and then you see letter A. It talks about the calculations.
Yeah. So I understand that the reduction of the 1.5 weeks, but I got confused by state. So just kind of ignore the state because they're going to give us that number.
Yeah. They're going to give you that number at all. Nope. And
then,
then
I guess crazy C, but I don't know how to do it because I was like the other amounts seem too high because I know it's by body part. That's why those amounts just seem too high to me.
Yeah, but again, so at this, they're gonna give you the weeks, right? So this talks about the first 10 weeks.
So it's just 10 times 1.5.
And then, well, it's not 10 times that 1.5 because remember it's it gave you that $500 amount.
Right.
Right. So that $500 amount. Let me get my little calculator here.
And see, and that's what I did. I did 500 times 10 weeks, which was 5,000 times the 1.5, and got 7,500. And I was like really proud of myself and thought sure I had it right.
Yeah, you're a wee bit over. You're a wee bit over.
Hey, speak to your client, RJ.
So 500. So basically, again, so that $500 times the 10 weeks. Yeah, that was the easy part. The 500 times the 10 is again. That's that one amount. You don't want to continue to add past that amount. You're adding past that amount. That's why you got that. That's why you got the extra 2,500. It's so just 10 weeks times the 500.
When will we use the 1.5 then for the offset?
So, well, that's if that's a reduction for the club, right? So
Correct.
it's a reduction for the club. This in this question. Let me go bump it back up here. Yeah, in this question, it was asking, well, the club may receive against the players workers' compensation disability payment, and that's again you're multiplying the weeks by the amount. Now, what it says here, for example, if a player receives 3 weeks of paragraph 5 salary, and again we're going with that paragraph 5 salary, subsequent to an injury, blah blah blah, 3 games, regardless. This is regardless of whether the payments were made on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, the club will be entitled to a reduction of 4.5. And where that 4.5 comes from is 3 times 1.5. It's not about the 1.5, it's the total. Okay, so that 4.5 is a total, that 3 times 1.5 weeks of the players' workers' compensation award. And we're on 18 weeks, not 17 weeks. So that's the one caveat to this too, is if the CBA is saying 17, just remember that it's 18. Okay.
And so you're saying it's just the 500 times the 10 weeks, $5,000.
Yeah. Yes, flat. Right.
It just seemed too straightforward and easy, but I'm gonna go with it.
Right.
Now again, if they told you 300, then that answer is going to be $3,000.
3,000.
Right. Now, if they don't talk about the state's weekly pay, then you got to, then you're going to start calculating and dividing up from that 23,055. And again, you got to make sure you look at the year too, because if that year was 2025, well, then that's going to change that as well. If they didn't tell you the state's workers' compensation max amount. This one, they're giving you the max amount.
So when will we ever use the 1.5 reduction? Like how
if they did not give you the max amount, right? So if they didn't give you a max amount, then you're going to start from that whatever that weekly amount is. Like this one again. Well, if there was not a max amount on there, that 23,055 is where you would have started from.
Was this on last year's exam? Because I don't remember it.
So it is not. I'm gonna tell you, like this, it's not. It's gonna be what I just said without with that basic amount. This basic amount, yes, but without it, no. And it's gonna be like one question.
What do you mean without the basic amount?
So without that 500.
Oh, so
without
how
without the state's weekly rates.
So if that's out. So say $500 isn't in this question. How would we resolve this or rectify it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's going to be based on if it was not in there, then we're going to do that 23,055. Those answers are not going to be on there, but it's going to be that 23,055. And again, let me go back to because I think it's multiplied by the weeks. So was it 2? Oh, here it is. Sorry, I already had to look. So in that section A, you see that calculation at the bottom there. The club will, so it's 25. Well, if it's 10 weeks, so this is 10 weeks, but it would be 18. It would be 18 times that 1.5. So where's my calculator at? So the 18. So 23,055. 23,055.
7.
Times
27.
this was 10 weeks, right? Nope. times 1.5. It says 34,582. But again, that's if that's not on there, and then that's going to be 345,825 because it's multiplied by those 10 weeks, and this is without a max benefit because some states don't have it.
So you took the 1.5 times the 18, which gives you 27, and then what did you go for that?
And then for the weeks of his that whatever that salary is. So this one was 23,055. Yeah.
So then what would be the offset then?
$23,055.
So I have 230, 550, and I have 27 weeks for the reduction.
Well, it wouldn't be the 27. We're doing, let's see, 10 times 10. It's 10 weeks times 1.5 is 15. So remember, it's 10 weeks. So instead of not in the example, it says 25. But we're talking about if it was from this question without the 500, it's
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
So it'd be 10 times 1.5, and then what do we do with that 15?
And then that 15 is divided by times 23,055 times 15. It says 345.25 or 345.825 would be that salary cap hit.
So what would be the payment then to the player for workman compensation disability?
It's gonna be a one-time. It's gonna be a one-time payment though. That 345.825 is a one-time payment.
So that 345, I thought that 345 doesn't go though because it's based per state.
Well, yeah. Remember, we're talking about if that wasn't on there.
Right.
Because if it was on there, we would just do the 500 times 10.
Okay. So it's the 10 weeks times the offset, and then the offset times the per week, and so that's what's paid out to the player.
Right. And that's if he's getting that workers' compensation claim.
It seems too high.
Yeah. Well, it's his last payment that he's ever going to get. Put it that way. And plus, what a P5 salary usually is around again for 2021. What was that? It wasn't 415. I think it was like 790 something. No, 660. But again, that was for a rookie. I don't know what's here. Yeah, it says a rookie players in training camp. So a rookie player's salary then would have been 660. So as an injury, we're going off of that down amount, which is why they came up with that 23,055. And again, this is about his injury settlement and his workers' compensation payment, which is based on his disability payment. But for this question, for the exam, when you get it, just multiply that state compensation law by how many weeks of the regular season they're talking about. It's part of what they have to pay is P5. Everybody got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. It says 13, but this is 11. Player is injured during a game. Club position recommends rest and rehab for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Club elects not to place player on reserve injured list. And now you know where going through your source documents. Player believes his injury is far more serious and disagrees with the club position recommendation. Which of the following is true? A, player has a right to a second medical opinion and must follow the joint medical advice of the club physician and the second medical opinion physician. B, player has a right to seek a second medical opinion and may follow the reasonable medical advice of the second club physician. C, player does not have the right to second medical opinion since the club physician is not recommending surgery. Or D, player does not have the right to a second medical opinion since the club has not placed him on the injured reserve list. What do you think?
I did B as in boy,
Same.
based on my reading.
Yep. Anybody else? Okay, good. Yep, the answer is B. Players right to second medical opinion, and may follow the reasonable medical advice of the second physician. So you have your reserve list for sure, but definitely, make sure you make your notes, make some notes in there on a question like this as well. I know we actually had something like this as a question for one of those weeks, but definitely for sure. He does have the right to a second medical opinion. And again, same thing. You definitely have to let the club know who you're picking and all that kind of stuff when you get to that point, if you ever got to that point. Hopefully you don't never make it to that point, because that means your ass injured. Okay. All right. So veteran players scheduled to make 21 and make a 2021 P5 salary of $5 million as part of a 4-year contract signed in 2020. Club comes a player at the state of the start of the 2021 league year, seeking a lower player's 2021 salary cap number. If player converts $3 million of the 2021 P5 salary into a signing bonus and the length of the contract remains the same, how much salary cap room has the club created for 2021? A, 1 million, B, 2 million, C, 2,225,000, or D, 3 million.
I got B as in boy, 2 million.
Yep, B as in boy.
That's what I got as well.
B as in boy, 2 million. Very good. Okay. See, that was easy work. All right.
I hope they have 45 of those on the test.
Okay. Rookie player signs a contract with the club on May 5th, 2021. Player timely reports the preseason training came on July 2021. Player is on club's inactive list for the first regular season game of September 10th, 2021. Player's contract is terminated on Tuesday following the 10th game of the regular season. When does player's medical and dental coverage begin and end? A, begins May 5th, 2021 and ends Tuesday following the 10th week of the regular season. B, begins on July 30th, 2021 and ends at the conclusion of the 2021 league year. C, begins on September 10th, 2021 and ends on October 31st, 2027. Or D, begins on September 10th, 2021 and ends on August 2022. What do you remember from your reading? Anybody? Definitely not a trick question.
I took a stab in the dark.
In the dark?
I know veterans have that 5-year, but being that it's a rookie player, I thought it was only 12 months from, and so I did B as in boy. But I don't feel comfortable or confident in my answer.
Mm-hmm.
I put D as in dog. I do remember this question, and I believe I remember this question in the exam.
Mm-hmm.
Not 100% sure,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember it was year to year, so I did process of elimination. So I think it's D as in dog.
Okay, so short answer, yes, it's D as in dog. Begins on, so again, remember the question is, when does players' medical and dental coverage start and end? That's the regular question. Again, they hitting you with the fluff and stuff as it is. But don't
Oh, I
worry.
remember the August. That's right. I remember the August 31st. Shit.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So don't even worry about the fluff and stuff. The question is just plain old, when does a player's medical and dental coverage begin and end? All that extra stuff, they were like, oh man, well, he didn't start until it doesn't matter, because this is about when does medical begin. It begins September 10th of 2021, and then it ends in August 31st of 2022. So it's that month, that same month that he got.
Where can we find this? Where is this? Can you cite this source, please? I know it was somewhere in benefits.
Yeah, one of them should be in one of your source documents, but also in B in medical. What is that article?
I went through my benefits page. I went through there, couldn't find it. I looked everywhere. I was spending too much time on this question, so I just had to guess. And then I was like, all right, let me do process of elimination real quick. And
and I'm pretty sure, and also I think at the seminar they're actually going to go over this too. I think
they went through it last year. I remember this.
Yeah. But it had to do with the start of. Wait, I'm on the wrong side. It had to do with the start of the just player benefits, not the rookie benefits. That's the 88 group insurance, Article 58, 310. Article 58. Yeah, so it's Article 58, and then the subsection. Let's see here. Nope, not you. Okay. So if you go to Article 58 on the group insurance, it is section 1, and this looks like I got it here. It says period of benefits. It's on 311. So this is like on 311. So the period of benefits.
Oh, I found it under, yes, you're right.
And you envision right above that. So
group insurance for medical dental plan here.
Yeah, and it's a plan year. So if you guys have your CBAs out, you definitely might want to mark that on there, like put a star or something. Like I have the whole paragraph actually sectioned off. But again, that's Article 58, and it's like section E under period of benefits.
Yep, here it goes right here.
But again, just make a note. Like I've written in the margins here. Plan by league year, August 31st.
I'm sorry, what page was it on? I had technical difficulty.
311, or it's Article 58, second page, section.
Yeah, under group insurance.
Beautiful benefits.
Yep.
And then section E, period of benefits.
Yep. All right, so let me go get to this one. Where are we at? Yep, 920. Okay. Undrafted rookie player signs a 3-year NFL player contract. Player plays in all 17 games as a rookie. Player suffers a season-ending injury the second game of the second season and is placed on injury reserve list. He returns in year 3 to play in all 17 of the regular season games, earning Pro Bowl honors. At the end of the third season, player's free agent status for the following season is what? Oh, man. I hate y'all. You better not get this wrong. It's a restricted free agent. Okay. Remember, that's in this, obviously after that third season, doesn't have 4 already. That one, I don't know why she left that one highlighted. It's okay. All right. So, next one.
Let's go back to that one because I actually had B exclusives right because I only came up with 2 credited seasons, but I think I did it because I didn't count.
I also put B as well.
Yeah, it's a restricted free. So remember remember the specifics. Wait, hold on, back up. Do you guys have the definitions?
Yes,
Yes.
I know. I mean, I know what they mean.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know if you guys had them. Okay, so so again, the first part of this, he already is an undrafted free agent, right? So obviously, I would say UDFA. So he's always an undrafted free agent. So he's got the 3 seasons. How he got to that other season was, again, he was on that active inactive list. So you remember your source documents for reserved and injured list? You guys have that? That's a separate document, not in the CBA. It's a separate document.
Yes, in the source. You mean in the source documents?
Yes. Yeah. It's in the source document. It's a separate one that was said that just specifically says reserved and injured list, and it tells you all the nuances and rules for those on the injured list.
IR counts for accruancy, right?
Yep.
That's why it's 3.
You see what I'm saying? I don't know if everybody's pulling it up at the same time, but in that injured reserve list, that's
IR doesn't count. IR doesn't count for minimum salary.
right. So that's why he's a restricted free agent.
So in that first season he plays all 17, so he gets the 6 games, 3 games for benefit salary. And then the second he gets hurt, but he plays the first game, which means he gets that accruance because he's on IR. And then the third season he plays, makes Pro Bowl, so that'd be the third for accrued. He only has 2 credited for benefit and salary.
You guys see that, Reg and Johnny?
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So just do a chart. Just do a chart.
Right. So again, I can't keep saying this enough, but use that scrap paper to your advantage. Now you're gonna have to probably write small because it's a lot of stuff throughout the whole 60 questions. But you'll probably only use it for saying 10 to 20 of them. But so make sure you make that little chart. So you're
Look at that note that I sent you guys. The first one I sent you, it's the first page is the chart for the accruance and the credited. Then it goes all the way over because PUP goes all the way through. IR does not.
You see that, Reggie? Now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. Next one. Player with a $2 million P5 salary and 5 credited seasons is released for the first time in his career following the day after the club's first regular season. Player is eligible for termination pay of answer A, unpaid balance of his P5 salary, B, the unpaid balance of his initial 35% of his P5 salary, C, the unpaid balance of his applicable active inactive list minimum salary, or D, 2 weeks salary up to a maximum of the applicable active inactive list P5 salary.
A.
I got A as an apple.
Good. Tony, what you got?
A.
Okay, good. All right, answer's A. Unpaid balance of his P5 salary.
What's wrong? What's wrong with C?
The active, inactive minimum salary. So again, this is like we were saying earlier. If there are 2 answers that seem right, what is the best case answer? Because this is talking about, again, on the active, inactive list of his minimum salary. But again, you don't know what that balance is.
Correct. That's why I was asking because you just get given a number. You don't know the P5. So that's why I was thinking the unpaid balance because you don't have the year.
Right. So again, it's based on the bottom line is you're gonna get the balance of what he was supposed to get. So part of that P5 salary, part of that balance is why A is a better answer than C.
Because of the P5 definition.
The unpaid part, yeah, because it's about the unpaid balance of his P5 salary.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. All right. Rookie player drafted in the first round of the 2021 NFL draft signs a four-year NFL player contract on July 20th, 2021. Following the rookie season, he is named to the Pro Bowl, and his agent approaches the club to renegotiate the contract. When is the earliest the contract may be renegotiated? That should
C
be
as in cat.
why that says that.
He said meow.
Gotcha. Yeah, C is in cat. Again, one of those. See, same thing with the layups. That should be one automatic because you know it's after that third year. So, C after the club's final season of a 2023 season. Okay. Next one. Undrafted rookie signs a 3-year NFL player contract in 2020. In 2020, players injured during the preseason and placed on reserve injured for the entire season. In 2021, player is on active roster for the first 3 weeks of the season, 2 games, and a bye week. And his contract is then terminated. Player remains unsigned to the 2021 season. Entering 2021, player will have how many accrued seasons and how many credited seasons for minimum salary purposes? Either A, 0 accrued, 1 credited, B, 1 accrued, 0 credited, C, 0 accrued, 2 credited seasons, or D, 1 accrued and 1 credited season.
D.
What do you think, Daryl?
Let's see. D.
Okay, good. The answer is D. 1 accrued. Well, actually, no. What did he say? I thought he said B. Is in boy or D is in David?
I said D is in David.
All right, I'm struggling with that one too.
He
And the
didn't,
only reason because
he-
he got hurt in preseason.
D didn't make the active, so there's no accruance, right, Prince?
Right. So it's 1 accrued, but it's 0 credited. Remember, accrued.
Wait, hold on.
No,
Hold on, man. Some of your numbers, well, you didn't have numbers on here, so I got some of my stuff mixed up.
What you mean? What numbers?
No, for that one, I got 1 accrued, 0 credited. You didn't have numbers on the test, so I got kind of mixed up in some of the questions.
like 1, 2, 3, 1 through 40.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you mean the numbers? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so some of my things, some of my my answers are off because you didn't have numbers. So I was just answering them and kind of got mixed up in terms of the numerology of everything. So that one was, if I'm looking at that, that's 1 accrued, 0 credited, which is actually B, right?
Yes,
Okay.
B. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, all right, walk me through that because
Yeah.
I got
So
A.
you start
got
first. You
0
start writing in your
one
chart. Okay.
What's the
First,
correct answer?
it's B. 1 accrued, 0 credited. So once you start writing your chart down, okay, you start obviously starting with 2020. So you write 2020, 21, 22, 23. So because you already know he's got a 3-year NFL contract starting in 2020. You know his UDFA. That's one thing. Now, as he's going through the season, the first season he was injured in preseason, and he was on the IR for the whole season. Okay, so he's not gonna get a credited season for that because he ain't played in 0 games.
Right.
Okay, so now, but again, he was on the injured reserve list. Okay, so that's one thing. So now, but again, that's still both from zero. Remember, one credited is for benefits purposes and salary, and then accrued is through free agency. Okay,
You got me on the bye. You got me on the bye week. You son of a gun.
there you go. I was just going to say. So now you see where it talks about how this player played the first 3 weeks.
But I thought it was regular season game. So let's back up. So for 2020, he got 0-0, correct?
Right. So yeah, we're not even talking about the preseason games and stuff. We're only thinking about the regular season game.
All right. So 2020, he got 0-0.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to 21. So 21.
He got 3 games.
He got one though for the IR though in 2020.
3 weeks. Yes, it's 3 weeks. It's insane.
He got 3 weeks, but one of those weeks was a bye week. So
That counts.
That counts. Yeah.
Absolutely. Remember that count. Remember we said a little bit earlier from earlier questions. If he's on a practice squad the week before a bye week, he gets the practice squad money. So bye weeks count as a regular week. It just ain't no game. So
I thought they didn't count for accreditation.
everything I read said don't count. Bye weeks don't count for accrued or credited for bye weeks.
So we're only on talking about 2021. So he only played in 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then his contract is terminated, so he don't get none of that for none of those. So that's another 0. So he can get nothing for nothing there, right? Okay. So and then he played. Now he's unsigned for 2021, entering 2022. It says how many seasons will the player get for accredited seasons? So it's only the games that he actually went through when he was on IR. So he got one of those for being on the injured reserve list for the whole season. So that he gets on the accrued side.
What year are we talking about?
RJ, he misspoke. On 2020, he gets the accruance for the IR.
In 20, I'm talking about 2020. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that earlier?
Yeah, you misspoke on it. RJ, RJ, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. So when you're on IR, he's going to get an accrued season, but not credited because credit is about salary. Accrued is about free agency. So he only
go through it all again. Go through it one more time because I see his confusion.
Yeah. So starting with 2021, that's when the contract was signed. Okay, we're not talking about preseason games. We're not talking about that. During the preseason, that's when he got injured. But if he's injured before preseason, then he's not well, you can't just let him go. So they put him on the reserve injured list, which is that source document you have, that reserve.
Which is one, and it gets the one accrued season from there.
Right.
Correct.
That's the one accrued season. But he's not going to get credited for credited season. So even though it's the following year in 2021, his salary wise, it's based on a credited season. So he got 0 for that first year. The second year, he didn't get on the credited season again because there's only 2 games,
right? Which
is 2021. Okay, he only played in 2 games. And then after that, he got his contract was terminated. You see what I'm saying, Reggie? So he really only has 2 years, 2020 and 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody wanted to re-sign him or sign him in 2022, the question is how many credited seasons does he have for salary cap purposes?
0.
For salary purposes. So which is 0.
Mm-hmm.
For benefit and salary.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So, he got hurt in preseason because he was on IR the entire season, which would have went into the regular season and postseason and all of that. He does get the one accredited season for 2020. Accrued season. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know it seems like it would be easier. I know, especially you in real estate, you would think an accreditation and stuff is not accredited. It's accrued.
Accrued. That's what I meant.
Yep.
All right. So I got the preseason threw me off, but I understand the entire season he was on IR, so he does get that accrued season for that.
Right. And there's-
IR just supersedes.
Yeah.
Right. And for your client, if he's injured during the preseason, yeah, they're not gonna just throw him to the wolves. I mean, that's definitely gonna be a lawsuit. Man, this dude got injured and you cut him. No, that ain't how it ain't gonna go down like that. And then if that were the case, what would you tell your client to do, or you and your client would do if he was so-called terminated and he was injured? Say he twisted his ankle, which is an injury. And then they said, oh man, August 31st, man, you're part of the guys that got released. What would you be doing?
Injury grievance.
Right.
30 days.
You would file an injury grievance. Exactly. And again, don't let the NFL bully you either, because it happens every year. They just trying to save money, especially if you saw the salary cap room that some of these cats are over. Some people is over 26 million over the cap.
So let me ask you this on my next question, right?
Mm-hmm.
He got released while he was injured, so he get three game checks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't that count for something? The 3 game checks, would that be a credited season because he get the 3 because he was released injured?
He wasn't on the roster.
No, you got to be on. You got to be on the active inactive roster.
Gotcha.
Practice squad though, you would.
Well, it says in I don't know, I guess that threw me out too, because I looked at 2021, he was on the active roster for the first 3 games when his contract was terminated. So
Right, first 3 weeks of the season, right?
He was only on 2 games though and a bye week, so he's not on the roster for 3, so he doesn't get the accreditation.
but he was
For
terminated
salary.
while he was injured. Well, I guess he ain't injured no more because
Yeah, but you don't get it. Yeah, but you still don't get nothing. You don't get nothing for
Correct.
being injured except for an accrued season.
Accrued, yeah.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying, Reg?
So
Kicking
is that?
the
What is
nuts,
that?
Reg.
There's something where if a player gets terminated while he's injured, he gets 3 game checks.
That's a practice squad.
You're talking about the practice squad, Article 33. Don't include that with don't include the practice squad players with the active roster guys.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm mixing them up. All right.
And that's
Same house, just different people.
right. You know what I'm saying? And like even in this question, as it says in 2021, the players on the active roster. You know what I'm saying? So again, I know it's a lot of words and some and a few words and others, but try to make sure you keep track of these words that they put in there.
Gotcha. All right. So I guess with all that being said, the correct answer is B as in boy.
Yes, 1 accrued, 0 credited.
All right.
Now again, on the exam, it's going to be some heavy credited and accrued language in there. Okay, so just make sure obviously you guys know the difference between 3 games and 6 games. Just remember the same thing with that reserve list. You know what I'm saying? If guys get injured after their 12th game and they are on IR for the rest of the season, obviously that's going to be another 5 games, which is again, even if it's after the bye week, they're going on for that next 5 games. So then you've got to calculate their weekly pay times 5. Okay. All right. So next, a 2021 drafted player has a year 1 rookie salary of $885,998. What is the maximum allowable P5 salary in year 3 of his contract? Now, this is more of a calculation thing, which is good.
Based on my calculations, the answer would be $1,328,998, which was not one of the answer choices.
Nope. Don't forget, you're right on it. You didn't use it. You didn't use the cents. Remember I said earlier about the dollars and cents. Make sure you use the cents in when you calculate stuff, because the answer that was going to get is C, $1,102,994, which is C. So you were right on it. It sounded like you didn't have the cents in there.
So again, this one I guess threw me. This is the 25% rule, correct?
Yep. A drafted player has a year one salary of $885,998.
And so I take that salary times 25%, and I get
Well,
200.
no, you don't do like that. You gotta. So the guy he was drafted. How many years does he get if he's drafted?
4 years.
4.
4.
4. How many years the first round guy get?
4.
4. Oh, 5.
For your option.
Oh, yeah, right. 4 plus 1, 5 year option.
If exercise though doesn't count for proration.
Right. And then how many years does an undrafted free agent get? UDFA?
3.
3.
3. Okay. So this is talking about a drafted player in 2021. So on your chart or your scratch notes, you would write 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. So this is asking about 2023. So what you do across the line, and this I think we talked about this, Reggie, write the year, write your P5, and then you have to, then you're going to go all the way across, and then you're going to do the increases by the year, not in just 1 year. So if you increase by 25 in the first year, then you got to do it in the second year from the first year. Then you do the third year from the second year.
So
Right. I did that and I still got it wrong. I still got a crazy number that wasn't on the list.
same. So if you have
I got 1.3 exactly what RJ got. I got
RJ got too. So if you have the base salary of the 885, you take that times 0.25, that's going to give you the 221,499 and 50 cents. You add that to that base salary, that's going to be year 2, yes?
Right. That's what at year 1 it goes into year 2. So yeah, the year 1 you're going to get the second year from the first
year. Correct. But year 1 is going to be 885.
Yep, that's year 1.
So then year 2 is going to be $1,107,497.50 plus 221,499.5 gives me 1.328,997,000.
Which is what I got.
2021, 2, 3, 4, P5.
I'm like, if I got this one wrong, I'm dropping out the class, man. I'm not ready.
Or that's just one, or that's just the P5 times 1.5.
5, 8. Max. Yeah, 1.102. Yeah, no, Reggie. Yeah, you're right. Yes, I got that same thing. So
It
what?
should be 1.1074.
No, it's 1.328.
Yeah.
1.328.
Okay.
Because you can just take the P5 salary times 1.5, right?
Mm-hmm. You can do that as well. I did it that way too, T.
And then I fact checked it, and I did the year, and I'm like, I don't see the answer.
Okay, so yeah.
Right. Yeah, and see, I see where it is on here. And if this was on the test, on the exam,
This would be a freebie.
this would be, and again, if everybody answered the same way.
Well, I'm going to answer the 1.102 because it's the closest to my answer. That's the only reason why I answered C. But it's incorrect still.
102,994. Yep. Absolutely.
So who's emailing Mark Levin? Because damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because I don't want him changing anything.
So you guys got 1.384, right?
1.328.
And see,
One
and I guess, and I don't know if I don't like teaching. You know, I used to be a math teacher too, so I love playing with numbers. But what I did as well to fact check it, like if it's year 2, it's the P5 salary times 1.25. If it's year 3, it's the P5 salary times 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's the 4th year, you can do the P5 times 1.75, and it should give you the answer. And you don't have to do all that calculation.
And you want that total rookie pool, you stick it all times 5.5
Yep.
for the max allowable.
Well, yeah, that's if we were multi-year, but we're not talking about the total contract value. This is just for the 3rd year.
We're giving you props for how well you taught us, okay? Just take the compliment.
Funny. Okay, all right, let's move on because we're getting into the hour. Okay. All right, veteran player is released, because I want to make sure we get to that 30th one. Veteran player is released from the club in week 3 of 2021. Regular season after having made the active inactive roster in week 1. If in prior season, player previously qualified and collected termination pay for the equivalent amount of 6 weeks, what is the amount the player is entitled to in termination pay in 2021? A, 0. B, 35% of the remaining 2021 P5 salary. C, 2 additional game checks as the 2021 P5 salary. Or D, 100% of the remaining 2021 P5 salary.
P5 salary, 100% D. Because he requalifies because it's 6 games, not 7.
All right. Johnny, what'd you think?
Wait, sorry, I was still calculating the last one. It's a 6.
Well, yeah, this ain't really a calculation. It's more of a process, methodology. If you remember.
35%.
Daryl, what you got?
100%, wouldn't it be?
Okay, we got 2 for
It's
D.
either B or D, and then there's something that determines if it's the full P5 or the 35%, and I just can't remember what it was.
7 games if he qualifies for the first time. So he gets 2 chances because it's less than 7. It was 6.
Right.
And I know that's an article 30, right?
Workman comp, Article 41.
It's Article 41. That's and then actually one we just went over a little bit ago. That workers' compensation. And this is, I'm gonna say 244. Yeah.
Yeah, we got 243. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the answer is D, is in David. 100% of his remaining 2021 P5 salary.
Yeah.
But if he qualified and collected 7 weeks, that would disqualify him, and that'd be the B, right?
Yeah, and that would be 35%. Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Past that 7, it would be 8. But we're only talking about 6, so that's even better.
We're gonna call that the Elway rule.
He said Elway. Okay, 22. Veteran is traded to a division rival. Player, though excited about his new opportunity, is concerned about the cost of relocating to a new home in a new city. Player is entitled to moving expenses in which of the following, if which of the following occurs? A, player takes up permanent residence in the new city, and player consults with the appropriate club after or prior to his move and allows to designate the moving company. Or B, player takes up temporary residence in the new city and the player consults with an appropriate club official within a reasonable time after the move and uses the least expensive moving company. C, player takes up permanent residence in the new city and player or his contract advisor consults with an appropriate club official after his move. Or D, player takes up temporary residence in a new city and player or his contract advisor consults with an appropriate club official prior to his move and allows the club to designate a moving company.
Absolutely A.
A.
Absolutely. There you go. And that's pretty much easy in that moving expenses one. A player takes up permanent residence in a new city and player consults with the appropriate club official prior to his move and allows club to designate the moving company. Remember, a club official, basically anybody that's paid by the team, right? So if it typically it's one of the assistants, either a player personnel assistant or a coaching assistant or somebody in the general manager's office assistant. Those are the type of people where they say a club official. It's not one designated person. It could be one of those people. Okay.
And they also get the first class tickets, right? Airfare
Yeah.
for him and his spouse.
Him and his spouse. Yeah, him and his wife. Right?
Okay.
Okay, so player under contract. No, next question. Player under contract is involved in an altercation outside his apartment. Players pleads guilty to disturbing the peace and has to perform community service. Players club subsequently fines player for conduct detrimental to the club. Additionally, commissioner suspends player pursuant to the NFL player conduct policy. Which of the following is most accurate? A, only the club decision is enforceable. B, only the commissioner's discipline is enforceable. C, both the commissioners and club discipline is enforceable. Or D, neither the club discipline nor the club discipline is enforceable.
B, as in boy.
Right. The commissioner's discipline is enforceable. Always remember, if there's ever in doubt, you don't go with daddy. Go with daddy because you don't want to get a bigger whooping. So it's the commissioner's discipline is enforceable. Let that guy get you. Okay. Okay, that's okay. Undrafted rookie signs a 3-year contract in 2019. In 2019 and 2021, player plays in every one of the club's regular season games. However, in February 2020, player is injured while surfing in Hawaii and plays on the club's reserve, physically unable to perform, non-football injury list for the entire 2020 season. If club has made the regular required tenure at the end of the 2020 league year, player is A, an exclusive rights player with a minimum salary of $895. B, an exclusive rights player with a minimum salary of $985 or not. Was it $965? Can't read this damn thing. $965. C, a restricted free agent with a qualifying offer of $2,133,000, or B, a restricted free agent with a qualifying offer of $3,384,000. What do you got?
2021, 2022. So he gets, for 2019, 2021, he gets both accrued and accredited for benefits and salary. So he's on 2. And then the club made required for 2021. It's going to be, so I had exclusive rights, $850.
And 2021?
2021. He only has 2 seasons for accrued and for benefits, which would be give him the $850 for the minimum salary of 2021. Because $895 would be 2022.
Okay. Reggie, what you got?
I had that one too, but I picked that one because it had Article 26 beside it, so I figured that had to be the right answer.
Oh, I forgot. I'm kidding. Yes, A, an exclusive right player with a minimum salary of $895. I forgot.
So I put A, but how's it $895 when he only has 2 for 2021?
So Article 26.
Yeah, for two credited seasons, minimum salary it says $850. There is no $895. That's $895 is for 2022.
Article 26, Section 2. That was just Section 2 on here.
Section 1.
No. Talking about credited seasons, other compensation. There was an addition on here for that $895K. I'm not talking about the 2 credited seasons. Oh, yeah. So again, you're right on, Tony. However, we're talking about 2022. Remember, the question is required at the end of 2021. So
Okay.
they're making him an offer for the next season. Remember, it's
Would
an
be
undrafted rookie for 3 years. His final contract was in 2021. We're talking about what are they going to offer him in 2022.
Okay, I'm cool with that then. Okay.
You understand the difference?
No, I
So
understand that. I don't
Yeah.
see the 2022. It says at the end of the 2021 league
yeah.
year. So I
We were supposed to catch that it was 2022.
absolutely, that's one. I mean, again, it's a tricky question, but
Man,
that's
come on.
He said, "You see what I'm saying, Tony? See how they got you? So they talking about at the
no, I got it.
end of
No,
the year."
I got it right. I got it right. I'm just making sure
No, I'm
because I
just
was
saying
like
this is how you're
965
trying
is
to
way
get
too
it.
high.
Yeah.
But I'm saying because I understood the fact check, but I was saying the 2022 that's fine. I was just looking at it because I'm like 850, 895. I'm like it's got to be 895, but I don't know why it's going to be 2022 because I got the accrued and credited right. That's what I'm saying.
Yep. Yeah, you got the accrued credit right, but again, going off that table, and then
You definitely got me. You definitely got me for sure.
Their point is they're trying to. What are we going to offer him
Right.
after that 21 league year? And that's where you got to know. Okay, now we're talking about 2022.
So that's why it's 895.
Right. So look at that. Keep that in mind when you're reading those questions,
Man.
especially when you see this question, the PUP NFI on there. Okay. Oh, very good. That was good. Okay. All right. An NFL draft eligible player and contract of ours signed an NFLPA SRA on February 1st. The SRA is then filed with the NFLPA, that's supposed to be NFLPA, on February 8th. The two parties signed a marketing agreement and a scouting combine training agreement, but the contract advisor does not file the agreements with the NFLPA. Is this a violation of the NFLPA governing rules governing contract advisors? A, yes, because the contract advisor failed to file the additional agreements with the NFLPA. B, yes, because the additional agreements are prohibited under the NFLPA rule regulations governing contract advisors. C, no, because the additional agreements were not signed at the same time as the SRA. Or D, no, because the additional are not required to be filed with the NFLPA.
A.
Absolutely. Okay. Yes. Because contract advisor failed to file the additional agreements with NFLPA. Obviously, I just went over that earlier today in one of the first 3 or 4 questions. You definitely have to let them know when you have a marketing agreement or any agreement with any player, the NFLPA, that is. You definitely need to let them know, whether it be the first day, the third day, week, whatever, even if it's the third month. Typically, you're going to sign players typically in November, December, and January. But if you decide that you're going to do marketing for that guy, because most guys are going to claim that they need some money, you may sign that again in February, right before the combine or something. Or if you have a guy that's in the combine, you're like, man, dude did crazy. Like Xavier Worthy ran a 4.2. Like, you know what? Let me get you under a marketing agreement right quick. You got to file that with the NFLPA. Okay. Okay, move over. Okay, that's where a player injures his knee during the 2021 preseason that results in a season-ending surgery. In 2022, his knee injury continues to prevent, not a precinct. I don't know why that says that. Prevent him from playing. He fails the 2022 preseason physical as administered by the club physician, and has his contract terminated by the club. If the club refuses to pay the player injury protection benefit, which type of claim should the player file to collect that benefit? A, injury grievance. B, non-injury grievance. C, impartial arbitrator proceeding. D, system arbitrary proceeding.
B as in boy.
Reggie, what you think? Sounds good.
I think because it's a continuation of a previous year, I had B as well.
Okay, good. So the answer is B, non-injury grievance. You got to
Is
file.
if the logic that I use is correct?
Yep. And how many days you got to file that? When you got to file that?
Non-injury to 50 days, right?
Yep, 50 days. Okay. So make sure you guys, again, in your notes, those are things you want to write, those 50
But
days.
the biggest thing is because it's money, right? If it's money, that allocation, that's why it's not injury.
Well, it's under the injury protection benefit, and the rules are governing and apply to that. So it's not about not just money, but it's about the agreement of that article, and that is
So the IP, but that there's no year after the 2022, so he can't do the benefit.
well, no, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't do that. No,
Right, which means the IP doesn't exist and then the extended doesn't exist. EIP, right?
EIP, right? Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
and that is Article 58. But this is the
268, the 45 for injury protection.
yeah, it's Article 45. There it is.
Yep.
Yeah, 268 or 269, whichever one you guys have. This article in your notes, just make it Article 48 under injury protection. Okay. What is the 2023 salary cap number for a player who was selected in the 14th round of the 14th pick in the 6th round of the 2023 draft? And again, this is going to the signals. This is going to the signals. If that wasn't on there for most of you guys, but what do you got? Anybody got this? Either A818, B 959 8024, or C 794 824, or D 929 296. Anybody remember?
Man, you posted this exam at 12:52. I did it at 12:53. I didn't have no drafty signals.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know. You still got credit for it.
No, I'm just picking on you.
What you got, Johnny? You just did yours.
Yeah. I don't try to remember what I put.
I don't even recall that question.
So, Daryl, you got your drafty signals out?
I have mine out.
If you look at that, if you get that, double click on the one that I sent you, that 2023, and then just again, this is a question. These questions are to get you to be able to read the drafty signals, right? So how you read them is looking all the way to the left and looking at that the round and pick. So in one column you'll see which round it is, and then you'll see what pick number it is. I believe it was Trey something.
Yeah, Trey Palmer.
Trey Palmer. And then now looking straight across. And again, what we're asking about is what is that salary cap number? So you said you got yours out, Johnny?
929,296 is what I put.
Okay.
D.
Why did you do that?
I looked at the signals. I prorated the signing bonus. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't. Oh, I got this wrong.
Okay. Daryl, what you got?
I'm just gonna do it right now. 15. You got.
You got your signals out, Daryl? You're on mute. You might be on mute again.
Oh,
My bad.
okay. I lied. I got C. I put C.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so remember you did right. You talked about the proration, but we're talking about that 2023 salary cap number. So that 750 and the signing bonus proration of 179,292 is 44,824. Add that with the P5, that's will give you the 794.24.
Yep.
Okay. So again, just be able to read those numbers on the actual draftee signals. Okay, and knowing which one is which. Okay. Now that one doesn't have any notes or anything, but if there were notes on there and they showed on there that a rookie was drafted in 2023 and he was injured and only played in 2 games in 2024, what was his salary cap number and what was the salary in 2025? So then, and if it says based on credited seasons, you know he only got 1 credited season, right? So even though there's a salary there, it is going to go backwards. He's not going to get that salary that's listed.
I just want to let you guys know you did a great job. I just fact checked you, just making sure you guys know that you're right. You're brilliant.
You guys, you understand that secondary scenario? What I'm saying? If on signals, and if in the fact pattern talks about a guy being injured in the second year of his contract after only 2 games, what is his salary cap number for the 3rd year? Well, and it said, and if the notes say based on credited seasons, and he only got 1 credited season instead of 2, so that 3rd year is going to revert to that 1 credited season, whatever that salary is that year. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm telling you that because that possibly could be on your exam.
Wait, say that one more time. I'm looking at the signals right now. His 3rd year would be with that 2025 would be 1.030 million, his P5.
Yeah. But again,
unless he got hurt in year 2.
I'm not talking about this question. I'm giving you a scenario in the case where you got to make sure you're reading the signals correctly. Like if you look on those signals, some of those say full split salary. And again, I apologize, but I gave you guys the whole 2023 signals. But some of those on there says based on credited seasons, right? So if, for instance, in the fact pattern of a question on the exam, that says a guy drafted in 2023 and he was injured after the 2nd game in 2024, what would his salary cap number be in 2026? And if it says on there based on credited seasons, well, you know that he did not get a credited season for 2024. You understand, Johnny?
I understand what you're saying, but what is specifically would the question be is that you just asked? I understand the
So what you would do if it was 2023, and we said he was injured, and that's that 2-second game. So that means in 2026 he would only have 2 credited seasons, which means his salary would be 1.075 million. And it would not be 1.145 million. You see that there? If you're looking at the table on Article 26. Reggie, go ahead, man.
The weirdest thing,
Oh, got it.
I have that question, but my year is 2020 on my test, not 2023. And so my answer choices are also different.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yep. Absolutely. So, and that's what I'm saying, Johnny. You know, again, just based on as far as the signals is concerned, if you see anything that says based on credited seasons, then you're looking at that table and remembering that if he didn't get a credited season for being injured because he only played in 2 games, so instead of it being 3 credited seasons before that fourth year, well, now it's only 2 credited seasons.
That's only with the Y though. Yes for less.
Right, and again, that's only if that's listed on there, and that's going to change from what is actually written on there.
Right.
Because the 14th pick in the 6th round, if he got hurt in year 1, that 750, since it's a full split, it'd be the down amount, right?
Right.
And then if he gets hurt in year 2, that's based out of credited season, meaning that then he wouldn't get 915, he would get what the accreditation he accumulated for.
Right.
And the down amount. So he'd be kicking the balls.
Yeah. So you understand what I'm saying, Johnny, now?
Yeah, so if he did got the down amount, then it reverts to down on 23 down to 450.
Right. And that's if you were calculating that.
Yep.
Yeah, if you were calculating that.
Okay.
It wouldn't be the 915, correct.
Okay. But wouldn't it have to say where the split wouldn't there have to be just so where it says split, where it says full, that automatically is a split.
Yeah. Yep. That's up and down.
Bad language. Yep.
So
Right.
So it doesn't have. So what about that? Okay. So what about if it's not a split? Then what does that box would say if it's not a split?
Just blanket.
Yeah, it was just whatever that P5 is. Yeah, I'm only talking about if you see it like you see it in the signals, right? And some of those picks, it says based on credited seasons. What that means is obviously from 1 year to the next, if he has a credited season. And in my example, I'm telling you that if it was a guy signed in 2023 and he was injured after the 2nd game in 2024, and then in 25 he played the whole season, and then what would his actual salary cap hit be in 2026? Well, he's only got 2 credited seasons before that 4th season.
Yep.
So I noticed on the signal starting round 4 is when everyone starts getting a full split.
Right, and that's typical. So, what I'm saying, and
So
again,
everyone from round 4 to round 7 has a full split.
Yeah, and it don't have to be. I mean, shoot. I mean, some people, if you negotiate right, you can avoid that. I mean, it's not for everybody, but sometimes you can. It's not set in stone. That's it. That's another thing too. What is the only thing that's set in stone in the draft?
P5.
Oh, okay, technically 2 things then.
P5 and then contract length 4 years.
No.
Unless you're a first round.
Okay, yeah, that too. But the main thing that's set in stone is the rookie pool number.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the rookie pool
that changes every year.
And then you'll get that. Well, you'll get that during the draft. When the draft is completed, the NFLPA will send out to the agents and the NFL teams. This is the calculated rookie pool number for each pick. And again, this is great for all of you anyway, but because you're all going to be first year agents. But if you just so happen to get interest from a guy that's a projected first round pick, you can confidently let him know that you can negotiate his salary to the highest based on his draft pick status, and you can tell him, hey, this is approximately what you would be making if you went with me, because A, it's the truth, and B, you already know what it's going to be. And typically from 1 year to the next, it's right about maybe 5% to 8% more. Again,
And that signing
that's a whole
and that
different.
signing bonus comes out of that rookie pool as well.
Yes, and again, that's a whole different story. But just so you know, in terms of recruiting your guys and how those numbers read, because a question that you're going to get on there is you may get a rookie pool number and you may get a signing bonus number, and then you got to figure the rest out. Like what is his third or fourth year salary cap hit? All right. Anyway, let's try to finish.
Wait, hold on. So is there one more question? Is there an example here on the signals where any person from rounds 4 through 7 doesn't have a split language?
Let me see. I'm not looking at it, but
Just look at year 3 or year 4, Johnny. See how they disappear for the split language and the credited season. Like that's 0-0. How it's blank.
yeah.
Right. So everyone from 4 through 7 has it on their year 1 and 2 then.
Sometimes year 1, sometimes year 2. It just depends. Because the Eagles do all the base credit. It's weird.
Yes, I guess
I'm saying according to
he's looking for where they don't have it.
Oh, okay. I found
4
one.
through 7.
Round 6, pick 38.
Okay.
Zach Evans, year 2, he has only a preseason split.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah. So that's right. That's about right then. I was gonna say. Because again, it's what you as an agent, what you negotiate. It's not a permanent thing, even though it's normal or on average. But you definitely can renegotiate that or just negotiate out of that. Because hopefully that's what you would want anyway. You want to have good language. I don't know who I was talking to, but we had talked about Marvin Harrison's contract, and he's got a guaranteed salary. His is all up amount.
What round was he drafted?
Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
That was we're talking about 24.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
23. Yeah, we don't have the 20. We don't have the 24 yet because some of these knuckleheads ain't finished signing.
Right.
Which is whatever bad advice that they're getting. All right. Anyway, let's move forward. Okay. All right. In 2021, if a rookie participates in 4 weeks of preseason training camp, including preseason games, how much compensation is player entitled to receive? A, $2,160, B, $3,760, C, $6,800, or D, $11,660. And $11,600. Sorry. I guarantee you, this is an actual layup. This is a dunk. This is a dunk. Absolutely.
Yes. And it's on the
you have to use the table. So all it is going to the table. Where's the table at?
page 160.
Article 33.
Right. There you go. Article 33. And we're talking about a rookie. So we're looking at the rookie and we're looking at 2021.
9,000. 9,200.
Okay. So, and this question is talking about preseason camp. So, no, not Article 33, but this is talking about preseason camp.
23, Article 23.
Yeah, I'm on a different question.
Yep.
Article 23.
And don't
17,
Don't let them fools trick
1700.
you. They will try to trick you.
Yeah, 6,800 C. So preseason for rookie is
18.
$1,700 per week
Yep.
times 4 weeks, $6,800 for 4 weeks of preseason training camp.
Right. 6,800 C. Okay.
And
All right.
that's going to be on exam.
That
FYI.
definitely. Again, one of those questions is going to be on there. I don't know how many weeks they're going to give you, but one of them on there. Matter of fact, how many total weeks? If they say how many total weeks, what is the total pay if a player makes it all the way through the preseason?
What do you mean? How many total weeks?
How many total weeks is preseason? It's absolutely a set number. I'm going to give you 3 seconds.
It's 3 games now. But how many weeks is that?
Yeah, but
Isn't
okay.
it 2 weeks?
It's 8 total weeks. 8 total. Preseason is July through August. It ends on what date? August 31st. Okay. So remember, the season starts. The regular season starts, and when players are going to be released and signed to the practice squad is going to be on September 1st. So players are released on the 31st. Overnight, they'll get offered a contract, and then they got to sign it, by September 1st. But yeah, the end of the preseason is August 31st. Okay, and it's approximately 7 to 8 weeks based on when those guys get started, which would be if you're playing in the Hall of Fame game. Like, I don't know if I had told you already or if you saw it. The season starts this weekend. Okay, some teams are reporting on Friday, but they start on Saturday with football practice. And then, of course, there's the acclimation period and all that kind of stuff, too. And then for the next week, it's a staggering start for everybody. Okay. Number 20, a 2021 seventh round rookie wide receiver signs a 4-year NFL contract that includes a P5 minimum salary for each year. He plays in 15% of the offensive snaps in his first season, 45% of his offensive plays in the second season, and 65% of offensive snaps in his third season. For his final season under the NFL player's contract and P5 salary shall be A, equal to his existing 2024 P5 contract salary, B, escalated to a level 1 proven performance escalator, C, escalated to level 2 proven performance escalator, or D, escalated to level 3 proven performance escalator.
I put B as in boy.
I put B. Is it accumulation of 35%?
Well, that was A.
It's more. It's A.
No, he was talking about 35%. That was A. But go
That'd be
ahead.
that'd be level 1. What do you mean? 35%.
Yeah, level 1.
Yeah, level 1, 35% per, because 65, 55, 15.
Right. So yeah,
It's
the
40,
answer
it's
is
it's gonna be 40.
escalated to level 1 proven performance escalator. And again, for your notes, this is on Article 7, and that's I think it's page 35. But it's depending on what yours say. Yeah, see the example there?
Yeah, it's page 34. Section 4.
34. Okay. Yes. Well, it's part of Section 4, right? Let's keep in mind when you see anything about 3 levels and the proven performance escalator, if you need to flip back to that Article 7. Okay. Okay. All right. Player. We're going to go to this next question. Okay. Player with 4 accredited seasons leaves the club without permission after reporting to preseason camp. That same day, club sends player a letter telling him to return within 5 days. Player fails to return within 5 days, and club places him on the reserve list, squad list. If player returns to the club, which of the following actions may club take regarding the player's roster status? Okay. Is it A, terminate his contract, B, allow player to attend team meetings as a non-roster player, C, waive the player and re-sign him to a new contract that season, or D, activate player from the reserve list after 5 days?
I put D.
I put D because the other three seem whack.
Yeah, the other three just seem crazy. Like,
It seems crazy, but
Stop
remember,
it.
but remember the question. Okay. Again, if the player returns to the club, which of the following actions may the club take? The answer is A, terminate his NFL
what?
contract. So if he doesn't return, if they send him a letter. If he doesn't return, the team they tell him, they give him a time. Like they can say 5 days, 8 days, 2 days, 24 hours. Again, looking at that reserve list, squad list, the reserve left squad list. This is if somebody leaves the squad. The team can terminate his contract. Okay, it's up to the team. Okay.
Where is this?
Do you have the reserve left squad list? Should be part of the list that you read. I think that was actually a couple weeks ago, week 7, 6 or 7.
Is that a source note?
Yeah, source document. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
in the source.
They could really be terminated. Wow.
Yeah.
You guys have that?
Not that.
Yeah.
Well, I do have the reserve list. I just got to go through the list.
I don't remember reading that. Yeah.
Tony, you don't have that reserve left squad list?
No, I have it. I just got to reread it because I just don't remember seeing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I gotta look for it and read it.
Okay, so yeah, it's in that source document there. Now, this question may not be on the exam, but it definitely is going to talk about. Not specifically like this, but it will ask you a question about those lists and whatnot. Because I know that thing is like a page and a half. Okay. All right, next one. In 2021, player injures his left knee while playing in the regular season game. Subsequently, he begins rehabilitation with club's training staff. 1 day without club's consent, player misses his scheduled rehabilitation session and the club's trainer to attend a college football game. Club general manager notifies the player he is being fined $25,000 for his unexcused absence. Is player likely to get this fine reduced or rescinded? A, yes, if he files an injury grievance within 25 days. B, yes, if he files a non-injury grievance within 50 days. C, no, because fine is appropriate. Or D, no, because he did not get club's consent.
I had B as in boy.
B.
Yep, B.
Bravo.
Yes, he's in trouble. B, no, because he did not get club's consent. Okay. Now remember, the question is the player likely to get a fine reduced or rescinded? Okay, reduced or rescinded.
He can get rescinded. Why can't he?
Well, they're not going to just for this one, and based on this fact pattern for sure, It's not going to be because he didn't get club's consent. Now, if he had club's consent, then maybe they would reduce it because someone oversaw it and didn't notice that he had turned in a request and got consent for it. But this
So I
is
thought going to a game is a negligence, and it's a that one-time offense where he can get rescinded. You can file a grievance to rescind anything. I thought.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I thought you can always file a grievance.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can file a grievance, but this is not an injury grievance. This
And
is
I-
regarding his
Correct, but it's pay. It's money. It's a non-injury grievance about pay.
And
Right.
and to Tony's point, I thought there was
Yeah.
some in there where, like, if it's not egregious, you could file a grievance to get it rescinded.
I mean, again, you can, but this is this likely to get this fine reduced or rescinded based on what happened? Now, this is going back to one, he already had it in the fact pattern. He already had a scheduled rehabilitation appointment. He missed the appointment and then went to a college football game. Now, that already is a no-no. Especially if you got a rehab and you ain't supposed to be on your feet, for one. For two, he had a scheduled appointment with this training staff. Now, again, the training staff doesn't know his contract, and again, they would tell them he should be there. And then what they're doing.
But why can't I file a non-injury grievance because I disagree with the discipline?
That's what I said.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can disagree with it, and this is one of those, both two questions or two answers are right for the question. But the question of the question is the player likely to get this fine reduced or rescinded? And no, he is not likely to get this reduced.
I see your point, because this is kind of like a blatant disregard of what the rules are, and not only you're not going to show, and you're going to get caught being at a college football game, so you're kind of asking for it. You know?
So the best answer would be no, but he could file a non-injury grievance for reduction.
Yeah.
Right, but but that's not one on here, right? Exactly.
Okay.
So again, just make sure you guys are. I mean, I know it's a thought-provoking thing too. But as you're looking at the fact pattern, think about what you would want as a general manager and/or an owner. And that's one of those things. Simulation. I think we went over something like that before too.
Yeah, I just want to know why I got wrong. Nothing against anybody. Sorry. Thank you.
And I think, I think that actually was in one of the.
This is in the exam as well.
Oh yeah, that was on there for sure.
But is it worded like that though? Likely to get his fine?
Is it? Yes, it's
worded. So what the question might say, Tony, what can the player do? Like, so this one is saying what is likely the player to get reduced. So they'll reword that last question, and you just got to really read that last question from the start to finish.
Right.
Because to me, even with likely though, you don't know. You know what I mean? That's why I was like, you should be able to file a grievance, and you could get denied, but you could file it.
Because it might say, what are the player's rights? Well, his right is he could file a non-grievance.
But I guess the key word is likely.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got 59. I'm glad I got 59 more, guys.
For sure. For sure.
All right. We're almost to the rooter to the tutor, I promise. Let me go back to this one. Okay.
We're over our time limit.
I know. Y'all are killing me. Because like, Dad, you didn't read me no story. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so next one here, because we're really almost to the end anyway. What is a salary cap number for a veteran player who signed the following contract on the first day of the 2021 league year? Okay, contract length is 4 years. Signing bonus is $4 million. P5 is $990. Third day of the league year, the roster bonus of $2 million, and not likely to be earned incentive is $500,000. Okay, so again, remember the question: what is the salary cap number for a veteran player? A 2,490,000, B 3,990,000, C 4,990,000, or D 6,990,000.
So he signed it on 2021 league what?
The 22 and 21 at the first day of the 2021 league year. So when would that be?
Okay. So that'd be like that March 14th, 15th. So
There
then
you
he'd
go.
get the third day. So he'd be 3.9. So it'd be B.
Right, there you go. 3,990,000. Very good. So again, you got to make sure you guys for sure know when the league year is. That's evident. Like you guys know that. So always keep that in mind. Anytime you see something that has to do with league year, when is the league year, or when does it expire the league year, or at the fourth day of the start of the league year, when that is, you know that is in March. Okay.
All right, so let's do the math on this. This one threw me off. I'll be honest. I couldn't figure this one out. My numbers were not mathing.
Write it all down.
So I wrote it all down. I divided my prorations. So the signing bonus divided by it says a 4-year contract. So
Remember, not cash, cap.
Yeah. What is the salary cap number? But go
Not
ahead,
cash number. Yep.
because those are different, very different.
all right. Well, Tony, you and I talk offline. I know for the sake of time, we'll go through it.
No, you can do it. It's quick. Go ahead. Use Mr. Prince.
It absolutely is. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, so I divided because signing bonus again divided by 4. That's $1 million per year. The third day he's gonna get that roster bonus, so you divide that by 4. That's $500,000. He's got a P5 salary of $990, and he's not gonna get the not likely to be earned, so that won't go against the cap. So you can kind of already take that out. And so being that he's a veteran player, I went to 2021. I looked at the year 2 salary. Year 2 salary, veteran. I don't know. Some kind of way. I know I'm on the right track, but I guess 2021. So I looked at year 2021. The veteran salary benefits for 2 years. So for 2021, that would be $850. So I did the 850 times the 1 million times the 500,000.
Okay.
Right?
You there? Yep. Go ahead. Yep. Okay.
And when I add all those up, I didn't get 399,900.
Wait a minute. Did I do this wrong? I came up with the right answer. And now looking at what RJ did, I'm like, did I do this wrong? But I did come up with the right answer.
Okay. So, all right. So you're using the same methodology. You're on the right path here. First, again, starting obviously you got a veteran player. So obviously, you know, a veteran player has already played in how many credited seasons does he have?
He's veteran, so he's gonna have at least 4.
Okay, right. So now we're off that part. But this is giving you his contract length. Okay. Johnny, how did you line up your table?
I just all I did was I just prorated the signing bonus, got the $1 million.
It's 1 million, right?
Got the third day of the league roster bonus up front. You got that money up front. So plus 2 million, get 3 million. And the 20 and added the 21 P5 salary, got the 3.990.
and then you got the 990,000.
That's
Adding those-
what I was doing veteran salary benefits. Never mind.
So did I do it correctly? But I
Yeah,
got the right answer.
Yeah, see, it's what I'm saying. So with Reggie, what Reggie was, again, this is a thing. That's what I was telling you about the day before your exam. Don't wear yourself out in overthinking things, but because you already know how to do it. Now, Reggie, I know you know how to do it, but you don't want to overthink just because you see the word veteran. Because this is a question that's about salary cap number, not about veteran benefits.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm
And
saying?
I prorated and so initially when I did it, I got A because I prorated the
Right.
roster bonus.
Yeah. And remember, again, they're going to give you some answers to all these different questions because they're going to know you're going to do it wrong. They're like, oh, if he does it wrong, he's going to do this. And so you see that answer, that's not it.
They always do that.
You know what I'm saying? So again, Reggie, don't think about veteran salary benefit. Only about where you are. Only think about where you are in terms of what the question is asking. We're talking about the salary cap itself. Okay.
Damn it, man. So frustrated.
You
All right,
got
so let me ask you
you
this.
got good net, Reggie.
Why aren't we prorating the roster bonus?
Okay. The roster bonus goes against the cap. Period. And again,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So the only thing you're prorating for one is that signing bonus. Remember, I told you about making if you make a chart or a table, you start with the year, and then the next column you're gonna write P5. Then the next column you're gonna write SB for signing bonus, and then for this question you're gonna write roster bonus, and then you're gonna write NLTBE. Okay. So in the end, then you start doing your calculations and adding it row by row. And if you started with this one in this first row for 2021, that's where you would add all this up, that 1 million, then the 2 million, then you add the P5. That would going to give you that 3.99 million, 990. Sorry.
Well, like I said, I guess for me, I thought roster bonus was treated just like signing bonus, so I did prorate it.
Yeah, don't do that. That's going to be in that same year.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, if in a longer, this is not this question, okay, but if in a longer fact pattern, and it says he signs a new contract in, say, like the third year, then you would start that signing bonus all over again, and you would be prorating it from there. You understand? And then the
With the
same
previous.
thing with the roster bonus. So
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? So you prorate that first signing bonus for all 4 years. If you renegotiate, or that may be a question you might get. If you're renegotiating in that third year for a veteran, right? Because again, they can renegotiate. When can a veteran renegotiate their contract?
Immediately.
When can a veteran renegotiate their
Oh,
contract?
after 12 months. I'm sorry.
12 months. Remember that renegotiate means they've already negotiated.
Yeah.
So they can negotiate immediately. But to renegotiate, it's got to be after 12 months of the last renegotiated contract.
So I guess the only thing threw me off, I guess I need to make a mental note that roster bonuses are
Not
the year they are earned.
Yep, not prorated, right? Not prorated.
Gotcha. All right.
So let me make sure I have it clear if everybody's done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got the 4-year proration of the signing bonus, which is $1 million, plus the 990, and you don't add the NLTBE because that doesn't go against the cap, and then you add the 2 million, and that's where you get the 3990 from. Right.
Yes, the 3,990,000. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing double duty over here, man,
okay.
because we way past our time.
I know.
Damn.
Uh,
I would have missed that on the exam, and I would have been pissed when I got home.
right. Well, we'll see now. Like Tony said earlier, man, it's better to feel this stuff now than on the exam, and now you know. So when you see something like this, because this will be how it's written out too. Now you know you ain't gonna be able to mess it up.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Boy.
And hey, if anybody and Daryl, whatever, if anybody needs to drop off, you know, what I'm saying, just let me know. Y'all can do that. I mean, I know it's getting to that time and that thing.
Hell
But-
nah, 7 more. Let's do this.
No, yeah, we got this. Okay, player suffers a major injury during the club's 2021 training camp, displaced on the reserve injured list the day before the regular season game. When is the earliest a player may return to the club's inactive roster during 2021 season? Now, obviously, as soon as you get this question, you know, if you got your source documents, look at that reserve list that we just talked about earlier. Okay, A, as soon as he is physically able to play. B, 6 games after he was placed on IR. C, 8 games after he was placed on IR. Or D, the player cannot return to active national roster that season. Now, again, this is not about guessing, especially these ones. And if you don't know, again, make your mental note or make a note in your exam and back to it. But it's off of that reserve list, off that first document. What's the answer?
C is in Charlie.
Right. There you go. C is in Charlie. 8 games after he was placed on IR. Now, when can a player come back from being placed on IR? What would allow a player to come back?
Designated to return.
There you go. Right. When you see the words in a fact pattern, he was placed on IR after week 3, but can the player, it might be a true false question, can the player be designated to return in week 5? And the answer is yes. And how, okay, here's a tricky one. How many players can be designated for return?
8.
Not players. 8 times.
Isn't it 8 players?
Important work. We'll be right with you.
Uh-oh, somebody's in trouble. Yes, 8 players. Okay, so again, that may not be on the test. I'm just asking you guys, so you guys pay attention to that reading. Okay, player injures knee during 2021 preseason that results in a season-ending injury. In 2022, his knee continued to prevent him from playing. He fails the 2022 preseason physical as administered by the club physician and has his contract terminated by the club. If club refuses to pay player injury protection benefit, which type of claim should player file to collect that benefit? A, the injury grievance. B, non-injury grievance. C, impartial arbitration proceeding. Or D, system arbitrator proceeding.
This is a beautiful repeat. B.
Did we got that? B, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
See, I know it was way earlier, but I want to make sure, man, give you guys remember this stuff because that will definitely be on your exam. The years might change, but you know the concept of what the injury protection benefit means, okay? All right. While driving from a night of drinking, player is stopped by a police officer for speeding and erratic driving. Player subsequently pleads guilty to driving under the influence. If it's a player's second violation of the NFL policy and program on substance of abuse policy, which discipline is player subjected to under the program? A, suspension of 8 regular season or postseason games. B, a fine of 8 regular season games. C, a suspension of 3 regular and postseason games. Or D, fine of 3 regular games.
It is
I thought-
8.
Hey,
It's a
Hey.
suspension, not a fine.
Right.
Where do you guys see that in the source notes? Because all I see is second offense 1 week.
Let's see.
So yeah, the answer is A, suspension of 8 games or regular
You got to
season.
look for the alcohol specific.
Yeah,
team.
specific to alcohol.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
right. And alcohol is treated differently than the other ones.
And where's that at?
So if you look in appendix, what is this? Appendix 8. No, back up.
Is that in
Nope.
the, is that in the source notes?
Yeah, it's
No,
in the.
Yeah.
it's in the policy. It's in the policy joint.
Substance abuse.
It's in this SOA in the source.
So mine says page 14.
Okay,
And
mine is
It's page 4.
Page 15.
It starts on 15 and it ends on 16.
yeah, 15 and
2.2.
and it starts at the bottom says violations of law involving alcohol. And this says this is a second violation. So you see what I'm saying? So and it's on the back page, it's on the last sentence. It says discipline for a second or subsequent offense, which means second or more. Absence aggravating circumstances will be a suspension without pay for 8 regular and or postseason games as determined by the commissioner. So that's all.
Section 2.2. It's in the second section 2.2.
You see it there, Tony?
Yes, sir. On 16, I see it right above 2.3.
Yes, right. That last sentence, right?
That's
So
it.
that first offense though is going to be
It's 3
3
games.
I see it on the first page. 3 regular.
Where is it again? Repeat it, please.
On page
It's on
15
2.2.
of the source documents for the public, policy and program of substance on abuse.
And the key word is suspension too.
What's that page again? I'm sorry.
15,
Okay.
section 2.2 at the bottom of the page.
Okay.
And then the first suspension is 3 games, and then on the back page is the second suspension for 8 games, regular and or postseason.
And then what about a third?
It's going to be 8 games. Remember, it's a second or subsequent or after that. So
Just
2
making
or
sure.
more. Yeah, and
Got
it's not times 2. It's not 8 plus 8 is 16. It's another 8 games. So it's so if they do it, if it happens in week 1 and then they get suspended, that's 3 games. And if it happens in week 5, it's going to be 8 games. So that, and again, as you're asking that question, how much accrued seasons or credited seasons would it be if that happened? If it was the first game, he got it in the first game and he did it again at the 4th game. How many games would he get for that credited? How many games for that season? Would he get accrued or accredited?
Repeat your question one more time.
If this happened to a player and he got on the first offense, okay, and then again it happened on week 4, how many seasons would he get, or would it be an accredited season or an accrued season? Either or.
I need more information. I'm confused. So
Yeah, I'm
you said
confused at the question.
If the player got this violation, if he got the violation and he was suspended after on the first game, okay,
so he hasn't played a game yet.
So that's how many games is suspension?
3 for the first.
First offense, right? 3, and then he did it again on the 4th. He got suspended again for the second offense on the 4th week, and then how many games is that?
He's only played 1 game.
How many games he suspended on that second suspension?
8.
So 8 plus 3 is,
11.
and how
Plus
many
one
games?
is 12.
How many
There's
games
7
left
games
this
left.
season?
There's 7 games. There's 7 games left.
And then how many games left in the season if he did it in week 4?
7.
14.
No, because you got suspended by 3 and you got suspended by 8. So it's 11 plus 1 puts you at 12. So you have 17 games in the year.
So 12 and 17, that is
5.
5. So does he get it?
So he'll get credit. He'll get credit. He'll get credit.
Oh, I
He'll
thought
get
it
credit
was
this season,
how
but
many
not points.
left.
Right, there you go. It's a credited season. So he doesn't play in 6 games. If he's not playing in 6 games, he's not going to get an accrued season. So, and again, I gave you that spontaneous impromptu question because remember, if the player doesn't get 6 games, if you're looking at all your fact patterns, and he doesn't get 6 games, he's not going to get an accrued season, but he will get a credited season for playing in how many games in 1 year?
3.
3.
So he's got to be on the active and active roster for at least 3 of those games. So again, that's going to help you again as you identify how to calculate those accrued and credited seasons. And this is definitely one of those things that will definitely help you. Okay. All right, so next one. Players drafted in 2021, but due to a college injury, he cannot pass his club's preseason physical. Player on the reserve non-football injury list for the entire 2021 season. Player was cut and then signed to the practice squad at the start of the 2022 season. He remains on the practice squad until he signs a 3-year NFL player contract and is activated. Okay, and is activated for 3 games of the 2022 season. In 2023, player is active for the entire season. In 2024, player sustains an injury and placed on the reserve injured list for the entire season. At the conclusion of the 2024 league year, assuming the club makes a valid tender, which of the following most accurately describes what the player earned? Either A, 1 accrued season and is exclusive rights player, B, 2 accrued season and is exclusive rights player, or C, 3 accrued season and is a restricted free agent, or D, 4 accrued season and is an unrestricted free agent. Goodness gracious, we just went over that sort of kind of. What do you guys think? What do you think? Now, this should be a layup. Remember, your numbers down, writing those years down, and you're writing either AC or CR or CS if you want to use credited season.
B.
Okay. B, 2 accrued season and is exclusive rights player.
Because
Now,
NFI doesn't count.
right, this is great to say. So the NFI doesn't count. And remember, as you are writing your fact patterns down or reading the fact patterns and you're writing on your little notes, make sure you start with soon as you see that first year, right? So the beginning of the sentence, the question, players drafted in 2021. So start writing it down, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Okay, because you know he was drafted. If that said undrafted, then you would only write 3 years down, 2021, 2023. That way you don't confuse yourself. If any of the question that has that in there, just like this one, and it says there's a signing bonus, you know the signing bonus is only going to be prorated for the length of the contract, right? Which is either 4 years, well, for this one, for drafted, or an undrafted person, it would be the 3 years. So just get that in your head, and that'll help in remembering when these people are exclusive, restricted, and unrestricted. Okay. All right. Player requests copies of his medical records in the club. Next question. Player requests copies of his medical records in his club during the season, but the club refuses to provide them to him. Under the CBA, which of the following is appropriate steps for the player to have the physician of choice obtain copies of his medical records? A, have the NFLPA file an injury grievance. B, have the NFLPA file an appeal to the commissioner's office. C, have the physician of his choice present the request to the committee of the NFL club physicians. Or D, have the physician of choice present club physician with an authorization signed by the player.
D isn't done.
Right. D is an almost. Okay, have the physician of choice present to the club physician with an authorization signed by the player. Now, remember that's part of that article on medical rights for players. Okay, so
Because you get one in the off season, one during the season, and then the authorization. So you get a total of 3 for the copies of the medical records.
right, and that's part of medical. That's part of Article 40, access to personal medical records, and I believe it's mine says 242, so yours might be 241, I believe, maybe.
Yep.
Well, that's what it is. So basically, it's Article 40. So make a little star by your notes and everything. Okay. Come down. We got 2 more to go, I think. 3. Okay. Veteran player signs a one-year contract with the club on March 20th, 2020. On June 13th, 2020, player sustains an injury to his back while playing baseball with his son. On July 27th, 2020, player reports club's preseason training camp and fails the club's physical physician examination. Club places player on the reserve non-football injury list to the remainder of the 2020 season. The player remained physically unable to perform until March 1st, 2021. What is the player's contract status with the club for 2021 season? A, player remains under contract with the club for the 2021 season because the player was placed on NFI during the 2020 season. B, player is no longer under contract in the 2021 season because the player was placed on NFI during the 2021 season. C, player remains under contract with the club for the 2021 season if the club pays for the player's salary for the 2020 season. Or D, player is no longer under contract for the 2021 season if the club pays player's salary for 2020 season.
I put A.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? And the answer is A. Player remains under contract with the club for the 2021 season because the player was placed on NFI during the 2020 season. Again, make sure you guys know or you have your reserve, the source document, that separate little paper for the reserve list, because a lot of those intricate details are on there. Okay. Okay, draft eligible player signs NFLPA standard representation agreement with contract advisor A on January 1st and begins training on January 2nd, 2021. Player contacts contract advisor B to set up a meeting on January 18th. Player then sends notice of termination to contract advisor A on January 19th, 2021. If the NFL draft is on April 28th, what is the first date of contract advisor B can sign with an SRA with that player? A, January 10th or January 19th of 2021. B, January 24th, 2021. C, January 31st, 2021. Or D, February 19th of 2021.
D isn't done. 30 days.
You said what, Tony?
D.
What? I put C, January 31st.
Reggie, what you got?
I did 30 days from,
Yeah,
so
I
I
thought it
did
was 30.
D2 because he's a drafted. I mean, I guess draft eligible. I mean, he's a upcoming rookie hitting the draft. So 30 days.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the draft just says is April 28th. Okay, okay. And when did the termination letter go out?
January 19th.
Okay.
Oh,
Johnny,
got it.
tell them what they won, Johnny. It's C, January 31st, 2021. Johnny, go ahead, break it down for him.
Yeah, I mean 30 days from January 1st, 30 is 30 days from January 1st is January 31st.
Oh, you're doing 30 days from January 1st, not January 19th.
Yes.
But you got to terminate first, right?
But why is it 19th?
What is the first date of the contract advisor B can sign the SRA with the payee? Now remember, he terminated contractor A on the 19th.
Correct. He received termination on the 19th.
You
So
got that?
when the advisor receives that, that's when the timer ticks, I thought.
So, and it's you're getting the 30 and the 5 confused, but it's the
Five
next.
was within 30 days. It's past that. So if it was in within April 1st, if it was in within 30 days, it'd be 5 days like a veteran.
But
No,
he signed the first one.
no, not a veteran. It's
He signed the first one on January 1st, though.
Right. You see what I'm saying? But we're not talking
Right.
about, yeah,
But it wasn't terminated January 1st.
but it wasn't terminated yet. The first date that he can sign is after that 5 days, and it's before the 30 days of the draft. The draft isn't until April, so that is fluff and stuff, and it doesn't matter about the draft date. It matters of when the sign date, when the termination date, and when the next available date. Because remember, the question is, when is the first date he can sign with a new payee? So it was terminated on the 19th. 5 days after that is, I mean, that's 19, so 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that's 20, so that's 25 after that. So the January 25th, so the 24th will be a day too early. So after that day is the first date the contractor can sign the SRA. So it's not about the
That doesn't make
30
that-
days.
that doesn't
it's
make
5
sense.
days. It's
So
5.
what's the correct answer?
The C, the 31st.
I still don't understand because in the
So-
SRA, it's 30 days after the SRA was received.
It's
First SRA was received on January 1st.
It says draft.
Signs.
It says draft eligible player signs. I'm just talking out loud. Signs the standard representation agreement with advisor A on January 1st. He begins training on January 2nd. Okay, that's all fluff. Player contacts contract advisor B to set up a meeting on January 18th, which is more than 30 days prior to the draft. So if it's more than that, that 30 days is in effect because then he terminates contract advisor A on the 19th. So why would it start on the 1st when the advisor didn't get notification until the 19th? Because I thought you had 30 days to reconcile.
well, that's reconcile is, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about reconciling. We're just talking about termination.
The date of the
Yeah, but I thought the advisor B cannot sign within 30 days because he's a rookie and it's 30 days from the draft versus if it was within 30 days, he could do it within 5.
No. You're confusing it's a switch that's flipped around. It's outside of 30 days. Okay. That's for one. So the draft is not until April. So that's irrelevant. Nothing happens. So if that said March 28th, then that would be different. But we're not talking about March 28th. We're talking about we're still in January. Okay.
I just don't understand why the timer starts on the 1st and not the 19th.
There's no timer on the 1st. I don't know why you don't stop thinking about the 1st.
So no, I asked Mark Levin about this. So Mark said that the timer for the SRA starts once the actual agent receives that termination letter.
Right. But this termination letter is not even sent out or received until the 19th.
He sends termination to advisor A on the 19th. So it doesn't advisor A receive it on the 19th because he didn't receive it on the 1st.
Yeah, exactly. So the first is in the past. We're talking about
Correct.
from the moving forward. So the
Correct.
19th and communication, and it's accepted. Acceptable communication is by email, which is the same day. And again, in the future, just so you know, you do have to copy Mark Levin on your termination. If you should get a termination copy to Mark Levin at the same time, not afterwards. But when you send out that communication, that's on the same day, but the clock's going to start on the next day, not the same day. So it would start. So now you got it on the 19th. So 5 days is the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. So the question is, and then he can sign on the following day, which would be the 25th. But the answers that you have are the 31st and February 19th. The question is, what's the first date of the contract advisor B can sign the SRA? So the first date after the 25th is the 31st or the 19th, which would be the 31st.
Yeah, I'll have to look that one up. I still don't understand it or agree with the concept.
And-
It's the 30 days.
And I'm with Tony. Now, if we were talking about a veteran player, yes, you're absolutely 100% correct. But we're talking about a rookie, a draft E. And everything I've read said with a draft E or rookie player, you have to give that 30-day window, not the 5-day window,
Unless it's within the 30 days.
unless it's within 30 days of the draft.
That's what I read too.
Yeah, that's so the way it has been done is the 5-day window, anything before the 30-day window inside the draft. Now, again, I was taking a check with Mark on this, but let me see.
Again, you take out draft eligible, then yes, C is the correct answer. But with the draft eligible, it can't be. Well, from everything I've read, it couldn't be anything but D.
You say anything?
So when I emailed Mark, I asked him that. He said the time ticks once the agent receives notice, not the NFLPA. The 30-day wait from when the original SRA was signed, not notice date. For example, player signs on January 15th, sends notice on February 1st. The 30 days ends February 15th. So that's the clarification. So it's going to start on the 1st then.
Are you talking about February 1st?
No, so I gave him a scenario. So if an example, if the player signs on
right.
January 15th
Okay.
and then he sends notice on the 1st, the 30 days ends February 15th, not March 1st, because the notice was sent. That's just weird to me. That's a weird question.
Yeah, but it was, but again, the termination itself. I mean, you can't sign if the guy's not terminated. Right?
Correct, but it's just weird. It's just weird to me though that the timer, like the time for that grace period starts on the time that you signed it. You know what I mean?
I personally, I got this because this question is similar to a question that Joe Corey had last year at SMWW, and it's a very similar question with the same type of what do you call it, like format or what have you, and then it was 30 days also from signing. So when I looked at Joe Corey's question, I looked at this question, it was like the same. I was like, 30 days.
Yeah, again, the answer was C, but I will make a note of the same
This
thing.
question is definitely on the test, and
It's on the test. This is on the exam.
100% on the test.
Absolutely.
Because then he said that the 5 days is always from the day of notice.
So now I'm wondering, did I get this wrong? Because I answered it last year in 30 days. And so there's a possibility I could have got it wrong because.
Do you put February 19th then on accident?
Oh. No, I put 30 days from signing. I put 30 days from signing.
So you put the 31st?
Well, it wasn't the 30. It wasn't these dates.
Yeah, it
It
wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was another date, but I put 30 days from signing. Whatever the date was, I put 30 days from signing.
Right.
Right.
I
Yeah.
seem to remember Maine saying something about it's from it's 30 days from when the NFLPA receives the
Receives it.
information.
But yeah, receives it, right. But again, that was with both of them, the NFLPA
Right.
and the contract advisor. But again, same thing. For this answer for sure, it says 31st. But for in real life, same thing. You want to always copy Mark Levin, who's currently the director of agent administration, on any termination email. So if your client says, "Hey man, I want to terminate our agreement. What do I got to do?" Well, you got to send me an email, and then you got to CC Mark Levin on this.
So in other words, since January 31st is the closest date to the 5 days after the termination, then that's why it's C. Is what you're saying.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But that terminology doesn't make sense then. 5 days. So I thought it'd be 30 days then from the signing.
Yeah.
So why would it be it
if
wouldn't be the
you're
25th?
saying
It'd be C because 30 days from the first.
Yeah, 30 days from the first will be January 31st.
That's why it's C, not because of the 5 day.
With the,
Right.
yeah,
That's why I chose January 31st, because I remember it being from the first signing. But I'm going off of what Maine said, where he said 5 days after the date of termination, and the closest date to that would be January 31st.
Yeah, no, it's a rookie though. It's got to be 30 because it's outside that window. So it'd be 30 plus the signing date of January 1st.
and obviously he's got to terminate that agreement too. I mean, you can't just sign a new guy without getting a termination letter.
Right.
That's going to be the other thing too, is making sure they get terminated. Okay. All right. So last one, though, one more. We got last two. College player receives prescription. Oh boy. For Adderall from his college team doctors. Yeah. Player is then drafted into the NFL and immediately signs his NFL player contract. Shortly thereafter, he renews his Adderall prescription with his personal physician, but fails to inform the NFL club physician. 2 weeks later, he is notified by the NFL that he has tested positive for Adderall, which is banned under the NFL policy on performance-enhancing substances. After clarification, player applies for TUE. Will discipline be imposed? A, no, because the player has valid prescription from his personal physician. B, no, because the player applied for TUE after testing positive. C, because player did not obtain valid TUE prior to the testing positive. Or D, yes, because the NFL club physician was not made aware of the player's current prescription.
C as in Cowboys.
Let's ride.
Cat.
C as in C. I told that dude from the Steelers he shouldn't have took that thing, that Tatarod, whatever he took, because he just got suspended for 6 games. Yes, C. Yes, because the player did not obtain the valid TUE prior to testing positive. You guys heard about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boy from the Steelers, the defensive back, he just got suspended for 6 games. And he said, man, I ain't even going to fight it because I know I did wrong. And again, if you don't got no TUEs, you're going to get busted. He was like, oh, man, I thought I could use that. See, that's the thing. And again, you got to remember, as you guys are agents, these are non-thinking kids. They're not going to be thinking forward, advanced thinking. They're not, oh, man, I thought I could use it. No, you got to tell your agent. You got to tell your team doctor. And so they can make sure they can check this stuff beforehand. And if it ain't on there, and what the problem is that these manufacturers are not listing everything they put in, like creatine and everything else. And if they're not listing it on there, you got to get that stuff tested. Or you can just not do it at all and just eat, which is what our coach always said. Okay, now the very last compound. Okay, player who signs an NFL player contract as an unrestricted free agent and is currently under contract does not report to the club 2021 preseason training camp until after the second preseason game. What is the fine that shall assess to the player? $50,000 per day that fails to report. B, $50,000 per day that fails the player's report plus 2 preseason game checks. Or C, $50,000 per day that the player fails to report plus 1 week's P5 salary. Or D, $50,000 per player that the fails players to report 2 weeks salary, P5 salary. Oh, that's
D isn't done.
This would be definitely an easy one. What do you think, Daryl? For D for Daryl?
Let's see. The last one. I have D.
D. Reggie, Johnny, what you got?
I got D as well.
Progressive discipline, D.
Yes. There we go. Good. So that again, like I said, that was another layup because now you're doing is going to the table.
42.
D, right? D. $50,000 per day that the player fails to report plus 2 weeks P5 salary. Okay, guys, there's a lot. Again, I know like today, and that was 40 questions, but it was a lot that we go through. But the main thing that comes out of these questions is make sure you're reading the words in the question. Okay, that's one thing. We'll get confirmation from Mark on this actual on that 30-day situation. But again, I know I saw it in there for that 31st and or the 24th or the February 19th. But the main thing is remember as you're studying to make sure you're understanding the concepts. Make sure you're remembering when looking at any questions that you're reading what the question is asking for. And the tertiary thing is to make sure you're answering the best accurate question. Okay, because there may be 2 right answers. There are definitely 2 wrong answers. But the 2 right answers that seem similar, answer the best one. And if you can, on the exam, make a note, question mark, however it is, so you can come back to it and you can flip through your CBA if you can remember where it is. And that's based on you should from the question and your article check sheet, the table of contents that you guys have. Okay. All right. So
And so back to that question. You say you're going to get clarity on that because
Yeah.
I really want to. All right. So
Yep.
I guess next time we'll all right.
No, I'm not gonna. It ain't gonna be the next time. As soon as he tells me, I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm gonna send it to you. Yeah, I ain't gonna wait till next week because next week we're gonna have another part 2 questions, and then we're gonna try to get to a review of some things. This is it, fellas. You ready?
Are you going to send us the results from this quiz?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to release it. I just have to release it. I'm gonna release it.
No.
I think everybody's done it now.
You can keep
No
mine.
Don't even try. No, you're good, man. Okay.
I
All right,
will
guys,
say,
I gotta take off. Guys, I gotta take off.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yep, Johnny, go ahead, man. See you later. Daryl, see you guys later. Reggie, see you later. Tony, I'll see you later. I'm gonna send this stuff out to you guys right after we get off this call.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Have a
All
good
right, fellas.